daily press conference, and the guy asked him some questions that didn't seem too evasive, just typical football questions, and he was in a mood, one of his little crybaby, immature moods, and then the guy asked him another question that was football related. The guy wasn't, giving him the business, and he just walked out. And as he walked out, he also ran into the door. But I don't understand, what Cam Newton's problem is. He's always got the woe is me. He's always crying like a baby. If you remember 2 years after the Super Bowl, yeah. Any guy who's a competitor, no one likes to lose. But the way that he acted after that, obviously he got chastised for it, and you figured that he was going to change. But I haven't seen much change, and obviously we've also, throughout the season, his incident he had with the female reporter. So he's very immature, but the problem is that's the face of your franchise. That's your big money guy that you're paying the money to. And so the reason why I bring that up to rant today is because if that's the guy that's leading your team and he's doing that in front of people, what is he doing in the locker room? What is he doing with his players? Now, we've seen when guys drop balls or they don't make plays, that he rolls around the ground or stomps his foot, or he goes over the sideline and puts the towel over his head and just acts just like a punk. That's what I just say. And in my mind, and that's your quarterback, in my mind, they will never, ever get back to the Super Bowl. He will never win a Super Bowl. He is probably one of the most physically gifted and most talented quarterbacks this league has seen in a while. And he's a special player, can do some special things, but other players want to maybe come to that team as free agents. They have to think about it. And like I said, he's a crybaby, and I just can't stand it. And I don't understand why. You look at teams like the New England Patriots and some of the teams that are successful, and they don't have that in their organization, or they definitely don't put up with it. Like you see the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin just had enough of Martavis Bryant, and he's not playing this week. He's sitting him down. So I think unless that you pull the reins in on him and kind of spank him on his butt a little bit, you're just creating a monster. And he's already a diva. He's a guy who came in the league that said, "I'm not a football player, I'm an entertainer." Right off the bat, right there, you should have known you were going to have problems. So that's my rant this week. He needs to get over himself. He needs to stop. He's been in the league for almost 6 or 7 years now. He's close to 30 years old. He needs to grow up, put this team on his back, and he got an opportunity to do something special maybe this season. But right now, I'm not impressed with how they've been playing. I haven't been impressed with him since that Super Bowl season, and he needs to wake up. So that rant was brought to you today by Beirut Palace. Hey, sports fans, can you find exotic and friendly surroundings, fine dining, and the taste of the Middle Eastern American cuisine? The Beirut Palace and its 4 locations serves food just like a homemade meal in your own home. Hummus, salads of your choice, kebabs, and their famous shawarma sandwiches that are great and fit in any budget. So make your dining out plans and go to one of the 4 Beirut Palace locations. And when in Royal Oak, stop by the Beirut Palace at 205 South Main Street. Ask for Mo and tell them that you heard about the restaurant on the Rock and Turk Sports Show and get 10% off your meal. For more information, call them at 248-399-4600 or go to their website at www.beirutpalace.com. Do it today. What's going on, fellas? What's happening?
Not much. Wait a minute. Cam Newton said that and then left, or I'm not answering that and then left.
No, he didn't even. The last he was being a little salty the whole interview, and it was they were decent questions. One of them was about McCaffrey and how they get him started, and he just looked at the guy, gave him attitude. And the guy asked the last question was about the Lions. Said, "Hey, you guys really played the Lions like everything was on track. Do you want to continue to keep? Is that the type of how you want the offense to run the rest of the season?" He just looked at the guy like he asked him something about his mom, and he just walked out. He didn't even say anything.
Wait, but then he ran into the door?
Then he ran into the door. Not super hard, was embarrassing, but, he was trying to be Mr. Get Mad walking out, and he got banged into it, screwed his whole flow up and everything. So
sorry, I couldn't talk, man. I had the Beirut Palace in my mouth.
I understand. Mo stepped in his game, man. He threw some, he's thrown in a couple new little twists on everything.
Is it little twist out there? Let me go. I got to go try the twist.
Don pulled a Turk today. He might have smashed him.
Yeah, get just the water over there, Turk, away from this stuff. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Throw it on your stuff, not my stuff.
Man, come on.
So
I got nothing to worry about.
So remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you this right now, it's not going to last forever. If you're in the Royal Oak area for lunch, if you're working, or if you're out in the evening, run over to Beirut Palace. You get 10% off your meal if you tell them you heard about it in the Rock and Turk Sports Show, so take advantage of it. What's up, Mr. Turk? You were gone. Mr. Norman, Ohio to Michigan was in your stead. He tried to fill your shoes.
I watched the show yesterday, remote, and I had to say that Jamal, he's not me, obviously, but he did a good job for his expectations. You know, his bar is low, my bar is high. He fulfilled, you know,
So we tried.
like a backup quarterback.
He set the bar so low he tripped over
Yeah,
it.
you know, backup quarterback is a backup quarterback for a reason. You know?
He just got to go 500.
Yeah,
Just
go
keep
five,
seat warm. So
hand the ball off, don't throw interception.
I told the people last week that they don't be Michigan bashing because obviously we had Coach Bellamy here who's a Michigan grad, and you're a fanboy of Michigan. So
Michigan went on and got whooped.
well, yeah, but we didn't bash them. Other than the things I said came to fruition. So you know, I'm bashing today, but I in your stead because you couldn't defend your amazing blue. I let them be.
My amazing blue. Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm here today though for that. So
Wait, I got a question for Turk. Okay, we were talking about this, Rocco, off the air.
what's the question?
So, BG plays U of M. Who are you cheering for?
PG.
Even
Okay,
with these coaches.
I'm not. I can't stand the coach, but I've actually
Every
went to
time.
BG. We played against Michigan when they had Denard Robinson.
Okay.
I went to the game in my BG colors and we
Okay,
got
good.
whooped.
Good.
But no, BG.
Thanks. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not always the case, right, Rocco?
No.
The drive is
BG.
crazy.
Yeah, we talked about there's guys that, and this is why
I can't root against my own school. That's ridiculous.
But
Thank you.
But that's why I asked because there are guys that I was sitting around. You talk. They go to they went to Central or Western or Eastern or whatever, and Grand Valley, and they'll say they'll be watching the game with them cheering. He's like, yeah, that's my team. But wait a minute, bro, didn't you go to Central?
Yeah, right.
Western? Yeah, but this is my team. Even when they're cheering against, if they're playing their team, they'll cheer against. So you got to
I'm
ask that
a
question.
Michigan fan.
That
I'm a Michigan
affects
fan.
me. That affects me when I
Bowling
hear
Green
that.
is my team.
Good.
So anyway,
Speaking of that, Bryce was on the show last week. I'm mad I missed it.
yeah, you know what? I was very. We had kids in here, right? And they're kids, and this is a learning experience for them when they get on the air. And we've kind of told them some things afterwards, but yeah, very mature, very well, big dude, man. I mean, he's tall as me almost, and he's and you can tell that.
He committed from last year to this year. He's really got his body in shape because he was chubby last year.
And
he slimmed down.
And so when you look, when me and you look at people, we look at a projection, right?
Yeah.
And he can run. He's not a Michael Vick, but he's also not Byron Leftwich, but he's athletic. You can see him putting on another, shaving some more baby fat off and putting on another 10 to 12 pounds of muscle. If he can, he could be a guy.
I told Ron, I texted Ron, I told him I think I would be surprised if he didn't play early. I would be surprised if he didn't go down there and play next year and find a role for him.
Because the thing is, what is it? It's been Baber's been gone for 2 years, so like people don't remember. I mean, if they don't know that they lost to Western a couple of times, and I think they lost to Northern Illinois once. But they were winning. They won, or they had been going consecutively 3 or 4 years in a row to the MAC championship. So
we was rolling. Yeah, we putting up a lot of numbers. That Dino Babers, he's from that Baylor tree. That guy that made Bum of the Week here. We don't want to talk about him, but Dino learned from him. So yeah, it's a far cry from what it was a couple years ago. But hopefully, getting recruits like Mr. Bryce Beasley will help out.
It's hard when you say his name. I don't know if it's something in our brain, but you want to say Vic Beasley. And I actually, when I was doing some stuff, I typed it in. I was like, why does this? And I kept changing it to, how did it come? I was like, oh man, I'm putting the wrong thing in. So yeah, that was a good one. But we got a good show today. But Dom, how can our listeners get a hold of us? Because we're gonna say some things they may get upset about, especially some of these Ohio bums they call in. So
Well, if they're on Twitter, get a hold of the guys at Rock and Turk Sports with a Z. And if you want to call in at 248-721-8570.
all right. Well, before we get started, we always want to let you know that today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Blaze Construction.
Rock and Turk Sports Show is brought to you in part by Blaze Contracting Incorporated.
Blaze
Blaze is a
Contracting.
heavy civil site contractor that self-performs mass and surgical excavation, aggregate installations,
Hey, can you
land
give
balance and
him?
grading,
Can you write down
storm
Jamal's
sewer,
number?
sanitary
He's
sewer,
they're doing a
water main
segment.
installations throughout
Jamal's
Michigan,
number. So he
Ohio,
knows if it comes
and
up on
Nevada.
Jamal. he
Just
can-
the last
Blaze
four
has
is fine.
successfully completed
I put in
meaningful
the-
high-profile projects
because we
and
didn't have to interview.
is a preferred vendor for many established major corporations
You know,
and developers
did you pay for
doing
this
business
yet?
in Detroit
No.
and across America. Currently,
What's this called?
Blaze has several major projects going on in Metro
Yeah,
Detroit,
we got
including
weekly
the new Little Caesars
Yeah, it's gonna
headquarters
be- there's a
building,
dude coming in Dr.
the Detroit
Zach
Rush Park
and then
development,
Jamal, and they're
the
doing
Flex
the whole
and Gate
thing by
auto
themselves.
supply
10 minutes
company,
I'm putting one up
and
in
the
there.
new Little
Just
Caesars
write
Red
down
Wings
his number
Arena.
for him.
Just the last four digits.
If you're out there listening and you are involved in the development, construction process of upgrading or improving exterior property or infrastructure, you need to give Blaze a call. They can provide valuable assistance from the beginning stages all the way through the budgeting, design, and of course, construction process phases of your project. You will experience the administrative ease provided by Blaze that will ensure that your project will be completed on time and within budget.
Go right to the song.
Blaze to light the fire
Classic battle.
that paves your road to success. Give them a call today. Call 313-361-1000 or visit their website at www.blazecontracting.com.
Man, I took a week off, and it's a little uncomfortable up here. I'm like, okay, this week in sports, let me get back into it. So, for those that don't know, the Houston Astros and the LA Dodgers are playing in the World Series, which I think is a great matchup. So the series is tied 1-1 last night. 8 home runs in the World Series, the most home runs in the World Series in the history of the Major League Baseball. I didn't know that, but that's obviously a big deal. Astros were able to pull it out. Our hometown guy, Justin Verlander, he pitched a good game. It got close, tight, but they pulled it out. What is your thoughts on the World Series so far? Who do you think is going to win?
I was a little disappointed because I did want to see New York in there. Wanted to see that. So an Astros.
So did your Girardi wanted to see New York.
Why?
I don't know as much about the Astros. Like I know obviously the Dodgers being with Magic and that whole thing and everybody following them, and then so Houston has been obviously one of the top teams all season in the AL. So. I watched the first game because I wanted to see, Kershaw, if he could break his curse, because Kershaw has been great in the regular season, like the old Phoenix Suns, great in the regular season and then get beat up in the playoffs. But he came in and shut him down, so I'm thinking, all right, this is one of the best teams the money can buy. This might be a sweep. And then I kept, wanted to watch the John Wall, Lonzo Ball deal, and I kept going back and forth. And I said, all right, they got this, and then all of a sudden I just started hitting all these home runs. So, I'm not a I played baseball, never really been a big fan of watching it, but if that game can be, if each game can be that entertaining, I may watch it. They're going to need that to compete against the NFL this weekend. Mm-hmm. So, but, it's good entertainment. It's not going to make me become an avid baseball fan again, but it was good entertainment.
I'll say this, L.A. and Houston are 2 huge markets, so they got the market pull for those 2 teams. Obviously, for the hometown guy, Justin Verlander, it's kind of bittersweet to see him pitching, not only pitching in the World Series, pitching well, as he was the MVP in the ALCS, and now he's backed that up with another good outing. So I wish him the best. I'm going to watch. I watched yesterday. It's been pretty interesting. I think Houston pulls it out. I just think that team figures out how to get it done. I know that they don't have the notoriety and the names as LA. I just think that Houston just figures out how to get it done. I love Altuve.
I would say that because I don't like this, just like in the NBA. I don't like the 2-3-2 thing. I don't like that. So I'll give you a little bit on that. But I think that what got LA there has been their bullpen. Mm-hmm. And I know my man, he had a rough night last night, the relief pitcher. But I just, Kershaw is going to be pitching again soon. We're waiting to see Yasiel Puig's bat wake up. So I don't know. I got LA. Like I said, they're the Yankees West to me. They bought the best team that they could do. They're trying to buy a championship. So I think just in the long run they'll do it. Now, if they go out and lose, and then they're down 2-1 with 2 games still in Houston, then yeah, that could be a problem. Their backs against the wall.
Game 3 is a big game. Yeah,
absolutely.
Game.
Absolutely.
So. One of my favorite topics, these Cleveland bum Cavaliers. So Derrick Rose and IT are both out right now, or they're slumping. Whichever one. Derrick Rose didn't play that well anyway, but Dwayne Wade has been relegated to the bench. He definitely hasn't played well.
He was out last night too.
Yeah, and he's got old legs, so he's gonna have those days off. LeBron's playing point guard. He had a good game, but this early in the season, putting that much on LeBron, is this time to sound the alarm? Is Tyronn Lue hitting the panic button too soon, or is this just par for the course? They're gonna figure out a way to coast, and then they'll figure it all out by the time the second half of the season starts.
I always when me and you have talked about this, you watch something in the beginning of the season, especially a game like basketball, where it's 82 games, and we're 5 games in, and most times you say, "Oh, is it time to panic?" I think with our minds, how we think, I think there is. If I had to go 1 to 10, I'd say it's a level 6 concern because of this. IT, you don't know what he's going to be when he comes back, and it's going to take him some time to get into basketball shape. And they're hoping he hits his groove by the playoffs. Derrick Rose, whether it's his body or he's in offense space somewhere, I don't know what's wrong with Derrick Rose. So you always got to worry about that. D Wade was out with a knee issue or something. So okay, how many games is he going to play? That didn't bother me because like you kept saying, they got a lot of depth. Mm-hmm. But when I looked last night, what bothered me is your boy. I'll be nice today. J.R. Smith, I know he's not your boy, I just want to say that. He got the start. I'm like, okay, whatever. J.R. Smith, that's fine. He can play 28 minutes, 2 points. That's it. Mm-hmm. I think 1 assist. Okay. Then, okay, Crowder. You're like, okay, they got Crowder. Crowder can play. He's kind of a poor man's Chris Bosh because he can shoot outside and they'll clear the lane out and all that. Last night, Crowder played 21 minutes, had 5 points and 1 rebound. So your guys that were coming through were Korver off the bench. He had 22, and then you had Green last night had 19. LeBron had a triple-double, so I think it was 29, 10, and 10. But that's it. No one else on that team stepped up. So my thing, Jets, one game, and it was against the Nets. You're supposed to beat that team, right?
And the Nets won.
And they won. And you're supposed, and I'll give it. But you know LeBron's going to take some nights off, right? So let's say whatever LeBron is a night where he's got to take off, he's just beat. Where is your production coming from? So that's my issue with that, and I think it's a little concern because right now, I don't know, that bothered me last night. Now granted, but once again, I said we're 5 games in the season, so I'm not panicking, but I put it at level 6 as a concern.
I'm not concerned yet. I am intrigued, though. I am intrigued for the simple fact Tyronn Lue changed the lineup so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, starting the season, Kevin Love was starting at the center. I didn't like the move. I thought he's a soft guy. He's not durable. To play the 5, I always say that's the bad move. I thought they should have left Tristan in there, bring Kevin off the bench. That's what I thought. Preserve him for the playoffs. They moved Tristan in the starting lineup. Now Dwayne Wade's on the bench. LeBron's at the 1. The question I have is this the end game? Because once you put LeBron to the 1, you know he's going to produce there. So is the end game, is LeBron the 1? Or is he the 1 until IT gets healthy? I don't know what I think it's panic mode. I'm intrigued to see what the end game is.
Well, I thought about that too because you said if he comes out, because I think this was the progression for him. Mm-hmm. If he's running point, he's going to get to a point. Father Time's undefeated, right? So he's going to be a point where he can't go to the rack all the time. His body can't take it. So he was going to be Magic Johnson and maybe stretch his career out. Yeah. So like you said, if they're balling, let's say this was a hiccup, and let's say they rattle off 15 straight games or something crazy, and then do you move? Because IT's really not a point guard distributor. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. D Rose is a scorer.
That's what I mean. Putting LeBron. Just
not only has he been successful, but he's looked good. It looked natural. It didn't look like he was forcing it.
He's the best player in the league, so he's flourished. So I'm interested to see where Cleveland goes from here. They got a lot of question marks, more than I anticipated this early season. I didn't anticipate Dwayne Wade to be this bad. I never had faith in D Rose, but D Rose mentally does not look like he's there at all. Even the game against Boston start season. Historic starts to the season. Are these guys legitimate title contenders? Or are they just stat stuffers at this point?
With Ben Simmons, I'll say we don't know yet because it's 4 games in, but he looked pretty good. He had a triple-double against your Pistons. He's the first player to post at least 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists since Oscar Robinson in 4 straight games, and he tied Shaq with the most consecutive double-doubles in their first 4 games. So obviously you're throwing out some historic numbers, and he's not on a bad team. They're not. I'm not saying they're world beaters. They look like if everybody stays healthy, they should make the playoffs. So I don't know. I'll say he's a wait to see. It's 4 games, but Giannis, we don't realize. I thought he's been in the league longer. He's only 22.
He was young. He just came in at 17, but yeah.
So he just broke. In 4 games, he's averaging 36, 10, and 5. So in those 4 games, 147 points, 43 rebounds, 21 assists in the first 4 games. He passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, held that record in the NBA, and he broke it. So
if he wasn't in Milwaukee, I think he'd be a huge
star.
Greek. I mean, you talk about. I can see yogurt companies lined up. The Greek Freak. Beirut Palace would probably want to shout at him. Greek Freak. It could be a lot of. He's in a small market. I don't think Milwaukee's ever going to win. But he signed a contract. He's under contract, I think, 3 more years.
Let me ask you a question of this, because this is what I think. If he progresses, he's still got something. He's got to become a better shooter. Mm-hmm. But is he the one that's going to take the mantle when LeBron steps down?
I think, yes. I think from a freak of nature standpoint, I don't think that he's going to be the facilitator that LeBron is, but as far as the matchup nightmare, I think yes. I think if he ever developed a jump shot, he'd be unguardable. He is unguardable at this point. He is because he's so long, but
he's ridiculous. I think he did take off from the free throw line one time. And most time guys just make it, not even.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. I'm more interested, and I think he's in a bad market. I think Philly has an opportunity to be good, but bad luck. The first round pick they got, who I thought was going to be good to start, he's been horrible because he's been hurt.
Yeah, did you see that they've adjusted his shot? He seems shooting free throws.
It looks ridiculous. Awful. I don't know what happened. It was like rookie of the year. He slipped on the baseball in the arm because now he looks like he don't even belong in the NBA.
No,
I don't know
not
what's
at
going
all.
on. So next one of my favorite guys. Ball in the family. We love the show. Everybody here watches it. I know you guys watch it. Don't front.
I've seen it on Facebook. I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah. Is Lonzo now having to pay for his father's loud mouth? And I'll start this one off. I say, sure, why not? And I encourage all players to go at Lonzo. Go at him because eventually you're going to realize that the guy's pretty good and you're not going to have a chance in a couple of years. So I don't care if it's a target on his back or not. Lonzo's proved that he's a guy that's got extreme confidence. He's not a guy that's going to get rattled. He's going to play his game. And he's not a selfish football player. If this was a selfish guy, then maybe you could get to him. But the thing is, his game, when you try to get to him, his game evokes him to distribute the ball and make plays for everybody else. So if the end game is for you to get in his head, then when he gets angry, he should be better at what he does. So for me, I say, hey, put a bullseye on him. If there's anybody that can handle it in the NBA, it's Lonzo.
You know what? I was going to lead with that in a way when I was thinking about writing it down. But there's a couple things, and because me and you are kind of cut from the same cloth as far as our passion and how kind of rough we were when we played, our attitude towards things. What I didn't like is that Patrick Beverly, who's not anyone to be afraid of on the court, he came at him in a manner of maybe slightly dirty, but he wanted to give him business. He wanted to welcome to NBA rookie. And the thing is fine, that happens. But what I didn't see, I saw they did John Wall. They do to all the guys that come in, and they have a little bite and bark to him. He kind of was like trying to get out of the way. Like, I'm not trying to get involved in this. So maybe he just didn't want to get caught up in the mind games and things, whatever. But at one point, when you knock me down or you start, I'm not going to fight you, but there's going to be some loose elbows. There's going to be some cheap shots coming back at you. He didn't respond to that, okay? And he looked like he was frazzled. He may not have been just how he looked. So I said, all right. He came back the next night, had 29 points. He went off. I don't remember who they played.
Damn near triple-double.
Right. So last night, his dad, maybe his dad's doing this for him, I don't know, puts it out there, says they're going to do this, score top. There's a lot of tit for tat going on Twitter. So I was excited to see this game. I said, I like the thing that we've lost in sports because everyone's friends with everybody. The edge. It's always, when Magic and Isaiah, even though they're friends, but they hate each other.
Yeah, on the court.
Everybody wants to hug and kumbaya.
It was still weird. They would kiss before the games.
But that's fine. When the game started,
they All-Star game. They wouldn't kiss before
It was just that in the finals. It was that in the playoff. It was the finals when they played the finals one year. Just a little.
Yeah. It wasn't every year. Maybe it was 1 year.
Yeah. But the thing is,
weird.
I looked at last night as, even though John Wall only had 2 points last night, right? He didn't have the greatest game ever, but he still was giving him a little bit of the business. So they actually had to move former Piston KCP over to guard him.
You should. KCP should be guard John Wall. Shouldn't be.
Well, I understand, but if this is my face of my franchise, I need just one thing that separated LeBron, even Jordan. People don't realize Jordan had a lot of defensive in the beginning of his career, had a lot of defensive player of the year awards. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see what was going to happen when they competed, and he looked like he was overmatched. Now, this comes back to some things that we talked about before the season, from Summer League we talked. Lonzo can't shoot. His shot is awful. I don't know, and his little brother's shot is off, so I don't know what they're teaching him, but he needs to fix his shot. He's 2 of 11 last night. I don't think he's hit a 3 yet this season.
Do you guys know Lonzo's numbers so far? I don't know what they are. How's he doing?
He's for the season?
Yeah. He's had 1 big game.
I know it's 4 games, but
after that.
Funny you say that. We should look it up.
Yes. So he's not a great defender. Can he stay in front of people? Yeah, but I don't think his effort is there like it should be.
Okay. You want to know?
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
All right. He's shooting 32%, which is
from the field or from behind 3-point.
From the field. Okay. Period. He's 22% from 3-point range. So he's 4 for 19. Looks like 4 for 19. But he's averaging. His shooting is down, which he's going to fix. But the dude's averaging 12 points, 9 boards, and 9 assists.
But that part of that's averaging for that 29 points in that one game.
I understand it, but 9 points and 9 assists.
No, I know we know he can pass the ball. He's
better
got
than I
great
thought.
vision. No,
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I say. He's a good player. I don't know if he's going to be an icon. He's not going to be that elite. You know, I mean, my thing is like this.
I think he's Jason Kidd 2.0. But that Jason Kidd is a winning point guard. You don't need a point guard.
When they say his name not Jason, it was Asen because he didn't know Jay.
Yeah. Lonzo has a better J than at this point. He just
It's not saying
he needs to get. I'm just saying Lonzo will
He can't get
have
his.
buckets.
He
in
can't
college.
get his. He cannot. Here's the
He
thing.
just
about
got. He went 4 for 9 against the Suns. So he just got to not last night, but a couple games ago. But he just got to find his area.
Do you see that he cannot because of his shooting motion?
He's got a 7-foot wingspan, man. He should be able to get shut off from over most
He
guards.
starts down low. That's
All right,
probably his
I get it.
motion. So he's got to fix that. And then also, and this is just me from what I do as a profession is training people and kids and looking for athletes. He does. If you look at his legs, they're very non-muscular, right? And I look at a lot of his running. Now he's only probably 180 pounds. Of course he can dunk and he's tall and jump, but his lower body dynamic explosion is not that phenomenal. And so when I look at that, him not being able to stay in front of somebody, him not really exploding off the ball when he's going to the rack like some of these guys. Now, he can cross guys up and get them off, but it's just I look at that. I think he's got a long way to go. Now, granted, he's 19 years old, right?
Yeah.
Most of we're used to guys coming out 22. Let me holler at you in 3 years and see what happens. But the thing it is Ben Simmons. Now you don't want to compare players. Ben Simmons is 7 feet. He's basically a point forward, point guard. And he looks silky smooth out there. And then granted, he had a year off because he was hurt. It's just a different dynamic when I look at him. So, but I'm not going to judge anybody in the first year. It takes guys a minute to get used to the league. But right now, I think his dad, all that wolfing, has made guys that are competitive give them a little extra push. I'm going to show this guy, or I'm going to show the world.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that was what happened to John Wall last night. I think it was so hyped up. I think John Wall tried too hard last night, spending a lot of energy, and it just wasn't his night. But that's my thoughts on it. I think his dad should probably keep his mouth shut from here on out. Stop putting pressure on the son.
No, I'm not worried about it. Do whatever you got to do, man.
You get
Good for ratings.
You're right, though, Rocco. Sometimes it takes a couple of years to get some muscle on you. Remember that one year when Dennis Rodman came back and he put out like 15
Guys
pounds of
coming
muscle?
in. I mean, just like coming from high school to college to NFL.
Yeah.
Pros, you're gonna put on weight, and you're gonna have a different type of workout regimen.
Yep.
Lonzo will be fine. He got a lot of tools.
And you know that also, just playing football, I don't know how it was at Bowling Green, I'm guessing the same. Everybody in the sports program worked out in the football weight room, except for the basketball players. They had some little rinky-dink weight room.
Yeah.
They barely lifted. So now think about, now these guys are staying there for 1 year. They're probably not, they're just coming with high
Because their
school.
arms were so long, Rocco. That's why their bench was.
All right, last one, man. The Pistons are now 3-2 since they won last night, blew out the Minnesota Timberwolves. So far on the season, what are your thoughts? Positive and negative. I gotta say this.
I'll let you go first.
I gotta say this,
fanboy.
man. I'm not a fanboy of the Pistons, man. I'm not a fanboy at all. I'm gonna need you to stop doing that. So I had a breast cancer awareness event at Hockey Town last night. And the Pistons were playing next door. You wouldn't know a game was going on. I mean, the amount of traffic and the amount of people that are down there right now is pretty pathetic. So the public's not buying it. Number one, even though they're 3-2. My biggest thing with the Pistons is I don't have an idea of where they're headed. I look at them and I don't have I have no idea. Like, they look like they just got a bunch of guys trying to win tonight's game. And that sounds good for tonight, but I don't see anything that has given me hope for the future when I watch the Pistons. The Luke Kennard pick, I don't know. Hank, I don't know. Drummond, I definitely don't know. Reggie, I know he's a bum. So, I don't know. I see why people are staying away because it's nothing to get at. Like, when the Pistons start, people don't remember when Chauncey Drip got here, the Pistons sucked. They got those guys, and at first, people weren't all in. People didn't feel the Palace, and then they started to turn it around. Ben Wallace became the cornerstone, and then people started to fill the seats.
What turned that, but he never gets the credit. What turned them around was Rasheed. When he got here is when everything changed.
I thought it was Larry Brown.
Before Rasheed. I think I went to Rasheed's first game in Detroit. I was there. The game that he had to sit out the second half because the trade wasn't finalized. The place was packed because Rasheed was there, but people were already thought the Pistons. I mean, Mehmet Okur was still a good big man. They were still a good team at that point. They just needed to get over the hump. She got them over the hump, but the Palace was full. Like, they started to fill the Palace, and they were a good team, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, battling with, the Nets, Boston. they were right there, and she kind of put them over the top with that edge. But man, this team now, I don't know how they're gonna sell out games. I mean, it's not.
They gotta win. They gotta.
Not only they gotta win, they gotta freaking have people believe that they're a winner.
I think the problem here is with people here. Those guys won, but there's no one thing that we don't have. The Lions have, right, and things have had, or at least the last couple of years, they've had some kind of iconic player. We had Barry, we had Calvin. The Red Wings had an all-star pack.
They don't have a cornerstone.
There's no, and so people, and it's entertainment, right? So it's not.
You need a guy that you want to wear his jersey. Who are you buying a jersey for? Who, Tobias Harris jersey? Oh, so speaking of that, real quick, we talking Pistons. I was in a barbershop, and obviously we talk sports in the barbershop, and the guys were talking about top 10 NBA champions of all time.
Like teams or people?
Teams.
Okay.
And the 04 Pistons got brought up by multiple people. I said,
as the greatest?
As one of the top 10 greatest teams of all time. I said, come on. I said, I know we're in Detroit, but you got to be kidding me, right? And I said, they wouldn't even be the 89-90 Pistons. And they said, yes, they would. I said, you guys are serious. So, 248. I know a couple guys told me they were going to be listening today, and I just wanted to put it out there if anybody wanted to talk about it. Top 10 NBA championship teams of all time. And I said, first off, all 6 Jordan championship teams were better than the 04 Pistons. And they have to be treated individually.
I would say the 2 Houston teams would be better than
the Pistons. Finish the phone number. You said
248. Sorry, 248-721-8570. The question, not only top 10 teams, but Detroit seems to be one of those cities where homerism reigns supreme. So, like, when you look at big cities, like, I mean homerism, like Detroit, Chicago, New York's a big one. Because is...
Like the Lions fans here, right, Turk?
No. I think the Lions know they suck. The Lion fans know they suck. They don't go in the game thinking they're going to win. They always wish their team on.
They hope they're going to win.
The fans,
though, like, what is the index for homerism? Is it higher in Detroit? Is it higher in Chicago? Because it seems like people in Detroit think that the Pistons teams that won were the greatest teams of all time. And you look, and if you go elsewhere, I don't think the 04 Pistons definitely want to get mentioned. Maybe Isaiah Zeke, those teams back with Mark McGuire and Dennis Rodman, those teams maybe. Hall of Famers.
I think the reason why, and this is just because it's the last championship we won, but it's who they beat, and I think that's why it reigns. I think that's why it reigns in their mind.
And that's what they brought up. I say it's not about who they beat; it's when they beat them. Right. That wasn't.
They were having.
That wasn't. That
conflict.
team was combust. It was internal. They had Karl Malone. I said Karl Malone couldn't barely walk.
Gary Payton was the mitten. He was no longer the glove.
Yeah. So that team was a shadow of itself, and Kobe and Shaq couldn't agree on anything. So I thought that was interesting. I know maybe people aren't, and maybe we'll get into it more when the NBA gets further in the season. We'll talk about the greatest NBA championship teams of all time.
So let's give everybody a week to figure it out, and then I'll write some stuff down.
And we'll see. But I thought the barbershop, it was just a little there. So, moving on, Dom.
Yeah. I would put, so you talking about that top 10.
Yeah.
Man, where do you put that Celtics dynasty? Like, can you even compare that?
They had the nerve to tell me that the Pistons, the 04 Pistons, would run through the Larry Bird,
No, I'm talking about,
Robert Parrish.
What was the age group of these cats?
Huh?
What were the age? Because I'm thinking barbershop, like you got Cedric Entertainer type.
No. These guys are my age. These are my age.
I was talking like Bill Russell dynasty.
Oh, Bill Russell. Yeah.
I mean, how do you compare it? How do you compare the two eras?
See, it's hard to go back and compare those two because it was such a different brand of basketball.
But the Pistons never beat. Oh, the 04 team would have beat the Larry Bird teams. No way.
I thought that was crazy. No. The Larry Bird teams would have whooped us. The Chief and Kevin McHale, it might have been hooks and stuff, but they would have whooped buckets.
Yeah.
I think
Dennis Johnson, come on, man.
The Pistons won that 04, and that was a transition where the league was kind of all the older stars were retiring and the new guys were coming in, and they were just the most solid team. Because you got to think about it. Before the Pistons were going, the Nets went to the finals, and they
no. The Pistons I'm not taking it away from the Pistons. They were a good team.
Yeah,
they were a great team.
They were. I mean, they played good defense, but they were horrible offensively.
To me, they got beat by a Spurs team that wouldn't be in the top 10.
They not that Spurs team, but they were.
They had no superstar.
They were part of one of the lowest scoring playoff games in NBA history.
That's excitement, right?
Yeah, it was like 67 to 64, something ridiculous. All right, enough of that. Just wanted to get that out there. So we'll keep tabs on that, see if anybody's interested.
All right, we got some things to get to in this NFL game week. I'm just going to jump right into it. Are the Lions making the playoffs? Yes or no? And a short why, or why not?
I'm a homer. I'm a Lions flappy.
Homerism.
The Lions not only will make the playoffs, they will win the division. Let's go Lions!
Oh.
You said short. You said short.
Okay, well, mine's going to be short. I spoke a little about this last week. No, they're not going to make the playoffs, and the reason I say that is I just think Minnesota's starting to click on all cylinders, and also that the three NFC South teams have tiebreakers over them, and two of those teams are going to be have a chance to make the playoffs. So I think they shot themselves in the foot. Plus, if they don't go out and do something and shore this receiving core up, I don't think they don't have a chance because everybody's sitting on the routes now. There's no big plays down the field. There's no running game. I just don't see them making enough of a move to threaten anybody. So,
Just because you're just a hater. You're a hater.
You mean hater, man?
Hater.
So saying that, as talking about the receiving core, Martavis Bryant situation is getting worse in Pittsburgh. Today, Coach Tomlin said they're for what his comments about Juju Smith-Schuster, and basically they feel has been a cancer the last 2 weeks. He's sitting down. Is this with the trade deadline approaching on Halloween on Tuesday, is this time for them to get off their butts and make an offer to try to get a guy who's number one? He's not Megatron, but he's a 6'5" guy who can run it.
I would love to get Martavis Bryant. I would say a third-round pick is about as high as I want to go, just because of the concerns character, and he's still underdeveloped. He's not a complete receiver, but he's definitely an upgrade. He's a big play threat. I don't know if he's ready to be a number one, but he's definitely a guy that can take the top off the defense, make plays on the ball downfield, which we don't have. I say a third. I don't think I'm willing to give up a second-round pick. Maybe a third package.
Third and Ebron. Send him on the way.
Yeah, good man. That's what? That even. That might be. The Steelers might be interested in taking Ebron because he's a move tight end who maybe he fits better over there in an offense that can actually run the ball.
Well, I mean, look at what Ladarius Green did for him when he was healthy.
Yeah,
they need that tight end to open up the middle. And Heath Miller was there all those years.
Yeah, Jesse James is a freaking pylon.
Yeah.
So until he plays the Lions, he'll probably light us up. But no, never mind. We're going to win that game Sunday night. Different story. Go ahead. What you got next?
So with that, and this is we touched on this 2 weeks ago a little bit, but we said the first 4 weeks are the preseason now for the veterans, right? So now we're in week 8, going into week 8. Why is NFL so bad so far this season? Because me personally, and I'm a guy, I love football, I love talking about it stuff. To me, some of these games I can't watch. And like last week, Jamal was saying, he even watched baseball over the Sunday night and Monday night games. What is going on with football in general in the NFL?
I think it's par for the course. Honestly, I think the biggest difference in football always comes down to quarterback play, and I think the actual quality of quarterback play across the league is down. Some of the guys who you expected to be playing at a high level are not, and until that happens, the league is going to look a little funny. But the quarterback, that's why they make the most money. That's why they're the big names. They make all the commercials because the league lives and dies by the quarterback. So these quarterbacks need to step up. I mean, you got some bad quarterback situations, and you got some guys who are underperforming. Until they get it all together, you're going to have a bad product on the field. But I'll tell you what, I've seen some really good quarterback play on some other games where I say, wow, the league's in good hands. So it just depends on the game. There's just more bad situations than there are good.
Well, absolutely, I totally 100%, and I think a lot. There's a couple things. One, there's just bad football being played, right? Just bad technique, bad.
Nobody watches technique though.
No, I'm talking, but I mean
nobody
like
watches missed tackles. They watch points. They watch quarterback.
But I understand that. But what I'm saying is the way the game is, right? It's a lot like Tennessee Titans have a very good defense, right? They can't tackle anybody to save their lives, right? That's because they don't have the time because of the CBA.
So they don't have a very good defense.
No, I understand it, but what
they have the ability.
If they bring down half those runs, they're not scoring on pretty much this season.
Yeah, but open field tackling is a talent that a
but
team
it's
like
not even
Seattle
open field.
is good at.
But what do? They sacrifice some things in their time because like, and what gets me, that's my second point. So there's a lot of bad play by the players. There's poor game calling by these offensive coordinators. Because how many times every Sunday are we watching games throughout the whole league and we're talking about why did they call that? That's something that, you know, us as hype. No, we're not shooting ourselves down. I think we could coach on the college level, and who knows if our career would have went that way. But you're looking at simple things that we're saying, what's wrong? What's going on? What's this? What's that? And I just think it's bad play calling. Now, the CBA, the biggest problem is the CBA. The CBA, the players wanted more money and less practice time. And what's going on right now is you lose a lot of the quarterbacks used to be on the sideline, right? I mean, the quarterbacks used to get a lot more training in the offseason, the backups especially. O-line got a lot more works with there. Now players aren't even allowed in the facility after the season's over with until, you know, OTAs or whatever. So I think that the what's on the field is going to continually get worse until they renegotiate the CBA. And
I think that the league has developed, and it'll continue to take on. It'll continue to mold itself according to what time they're allotted. Like, meaning if they're getting less time, then so be it. But everybody's getting less time, so I think the league will adapt. I think it'll be fine. Like I said, I still think it goes back to quarterback play.
Well, that's why I brought that up, though, because what you said is great. You're saying these guys aren't getting developed. So here's the thing.
I just don't think they're that good.
I mean, look at Brett Hundley. Brett Hundley is average, but what if he had 2 off seasons where he would have been in there getting drilled on? Like Danny Cano used to talk about when he was on ESPN.
Yeah, but Brett Hundley went through the same. He went through the same kind of procedure that Aaron Rodgers went through. Aaron Rodgers just was good.
No, but what I'm saying is though, not the same, because before that collective bargaining, they were still making those guys come in the off season. They had to be there for like just quarterbacks alone for a month or 3 weeks, and they'd be there drilling. What I'm saying is now they can't even come to the facility. They got to do everything on their own. So what I'm saying is you're continuously getting bad quarterback play because these guys are not getting developed, which is basically your point that you got to.
Yeah. So we'll see. Absolutely. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think the play's that bad. I think that, you know, the quarterbacks kind of make it break. So go ahead.
So okay, we'll leave that out. We'll go with our. We'll let this. We'll see how the season goes as these quarterbacks keep going down and how many. Because I'm gonna tell you what, you'd be the first one crying when your man goes down. And who's coming in for us now? Rudolph.
Jake Rudolph.
You will be
ready.
Yeah.
Rudy. That R is for Randy.
All right. So anyway, we've got our week 8 predictions, and what I got is first game up is Texans at the Seahawks. What do you got?
Texans at the Seahawks. Actually, I'm going to go with the Texans in this game. I think the Seahawks are a flawed product. I watched them last week. That offensive line is abysmal, and I still think the Texans have enough to get it done. Deshaun Watson, I think that he's playing at a very good level, and I still think that this is not the Seahawks of old. They can get it done in Seattle.
All right. I'm going with you. One, just they came off a bye week, so anytime you get 2 weeks to prepare for somebody, plus Deshaun Watson's had another 2 weeks to settle in and keep learning the offense, and they got some guys back being healthy. And I watched that game against New York, and New York's, they got a good defense. They're not a good team, and they struggled mightily against them. So
I'm not sold on Seattle.
I'm going with the Texans as well. All right, Broncos at Chiefs.
Now, the Chiefs had a heartbreaker last week, and that's 2 games they've lost, and I still think they're a very good team. And Broncos offensively were horrible last week. So I expect the Chiefs, as long as the Chiefs do what they did last week, Derek Carr was just playing out of his world last week. He had a phenomenal game. They're not playing against him this week. Chiefs at home, easy.
I'll agree with you on that. Not much more to add on that. Oakland at Buffalo.
Now, this is a tough one. I want to be honest, because Buffalo was a lot more surprising than I thought. They are. I don't know why. I don't know how they're winning games, but defensively they're getting turnovers, scoring touchdowns. Tyron Taylor,
trash.
I don't know, man. People keep saying he's trash, but he continues to win.
No. They got the number 6 defense in the league. Look at his numbers, and I'm not talking about fantasy numbers. I'm talking about 136 yards passing.
I know, I understand that, but when you have the number 6 defense in the league and you're doing enough,
he's just not making mistakes.
Yeah, he's doing enough to win. And when it's time to make a play, he's making a play. That's what I'm saying.
But what I always say is the games that matter.
Right.
He's got to make a play.
Long story short, I think that Carr and Cooper have figured it out, and I like Oakland.
This ain't the game to try to figure it out.
I like Oakland and Buffalo this week.
I'm going to tell you why I don't. I think they still have issues coming together. The only reason, defense, I'm always going to pick defense, but the weather is not going to be 80 and sunny. It's going to be cold and raining. And then,
Okay.
you know the California boys, when they get out in that cold weather, it's a whole different story. All right, next game, Carolina at the Buccaneers.
I expect Cam Newton to bounce back. He's had a couple of rough games. Tampa Bay has a way of dropping a stinker on both sides of the ball every couple games. This is the stinker week for them, and I think Carolina goes on there and they hang about 35 on Tampa Bay.
I'm going with the Bucks. I had my rant today. You know, Cam Newton's being immature, and they're traveling, and I think it could be even more, maybe something in his personal life. I don't know what's going on, but to be that way, and he's been having up and down season, and the Buccaneers seem like him, Jameis and Deshaun Jackson are on the same page now, which is starting to help out. Obviously, he likes to go to break, but now with Evans, it's starting to get in the flow. Running back is back. So I'm going to go with them for the upset because I think Carolina's pretender. Plus, they got guys hurt all over the field on defense. Coop Kuechly's out, and their secondary is average. So I'm going with the Bucks. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go with your fanboy pick, Steelers at the Lions.
This is a must-win for the Lions.
Must-win.
All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat it any other way. They're in a must-win situation, and they're starting a man at left tackle named Mahakakuk. I don't know who this guy is. It hurts me to say this, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing some of the best football in the league. I think Pittsburgh beats the Lions at home Sunday night in front of everybody.
I agree.
And Tatum Galladay might be out. That one might be worse than the left tackle. Both of them might be out.
Galladay looks like he's come back.
No, he didn't practice today. He practiced yesterday, limited, and he didn't practice today. That smells like he had a setback. Tate is practicing, but he can't take a hit.
That's an AC. I don't expect him to play.
Yeah. So I mean, who do they throw the ball to?
What's his name, Turk?
Who, Golden Tate?
No.
Oh, the left tackle?
Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't get. You don't get first name status until you actually don't suck. He sucks right now. Makako look, something like that. What's his name? Mahaka.
I don't even know.
I said to hear you say that.
It's the guy that got bull rushed by Cam Jordan against the Saints. That guy starting at left tackle.
Okay.
That guy. Then anybody on that team, Le'Veon Bell and TJ.
So when
TJ Watt,
when they
and
load the
Dupree on
box, what's
defense.
going to happen? It's going to leave the middle of the field open. So all right. Here's upset. Here's a quick one I'll throw in before we get to the next segment. It's the upset alert. I have the Falcons at the Jets.
Falcons at the Jets. I don't know what you're smoking on this one. I know the Jets kept it close against the Dolphins. All right, the Falcons are a good team. They went to New England. They're a little cloudy and smoke. They still had a hangover. They're gonna blow the doors off of the Jets this week. I don't
That's
know.
what everybody keeps saying.
Blow the doors
Going
off
up
the
there and
Jets.
They keep losing. Jets,
Like who the Jets beat at home?
who expected the Jets to beat anybody?
I'm just saying they were in a dogfight with the Dolphins. With Jake
I understand that, but
Cutler,
hold on. Let's go back and look.
like his corpse.
Whereas the Falcons are one game away. If Jordan Howard catches that ball, that's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a team that's struggling. Sarkisian.
See how you hate on the Lions? You didn't even mention the one knee. See how this guy's a hater.
He
man.
wasn't in the end
See,
zone.
this guy's a hater. You talk about one catch. We were 1 inch away from beating the Atlanta Falcons. You don't even bring it up. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what a hater looks like.
Wait a minute. You're 1 inch away from winning.
This guy just brought up how Jordan Howard, if he catches the ball, they win. But how do you not mention if Golden Tate knee doesn't go down, the Lions win? At the 1 inch.
Because where's almost wins go in the
He just mentioned one almost win. Why the Bears win, not the Lions? Why is that not worth the mention?
I got
Because
you.
the
All right.
fan
Because he's a hater.
It
He's
got
a hater.
early.
This guy's a hater. All right. Enough of that.
So with that, we have a new segment.
New
today for
segment.
you. So we're gonna let this intro roll in and we'll get it going.
All right, I think this is the right one.
This is well, what we have a new segment, and I'm gonna be. This will be the only time I'll
I
talk
don't know,
about.
man. Every time I hear this music, I think like my leg's gonna get cut off or something, man. Am I getting put in the body bag?
We got these gambling godfathers in
I
here.
see,
If-
man.
If you make the wrong bet,
I
they
see.
have
I don't know.
So I'm gonna let it go. But we have here today is Christopher Kentz, but he's a doctor as well, so we call him Dr. Kentz. But today he's a
Dr.
don
Chris,
of
Dr.
gambling.
Chris.
And we also have Jamal Norman on here, who has had some success in a lot of gambling, covering spreads. So I'm gonna let these two guys take it away.
Rocco, can I ask Jamal a question real quick?
Yeah.
Jamal, what have you been doing for the last 2 minutes? You've been like unloading your car. Well, you made so much noise. Turk's looking at me like I'm making all the noise. What are you doing over there? And he's not there.
Jamal,
You there? Now he makes no noise.
now he makes some noise.
Now he went
He's in the body
silent.
bag. He's in the body bag.
Well, let's go, Don Kentz. What's going on this week?
Just Dr. Chris. We don't need to go with the last names. I don't know if people know people who are actually in case they get every single one of these games wrong. But well, I'll start off with. I mean, you want to go with Florida?
Let's go to NFL. A lot of guys want to, that's where they're putting
want-
most of their money. So we can start off with the NFL.
Okay, so you just talk about the games we just were talking about. Texans and Seahawks. Yeah, Texans and Seahawks. I just think there's too much parity in the league. I think Texans are playing well this week, and the Seahawks had it easy last week. Although they're at home, 5.5 is a bit of an ugly number in the NFL. I think I'd take the Texans plus 5.5.
Well, you think? Are you going to take
But
it?
that's what I do.
All right.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Hold on,
You're right.
Hold on.
I gotta have a reasonable amount of
You gotta
certainty.
say, you gotta.
I gotta say it with some
We need a
certainty.
little accent.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's what I do.
Take
That's
the
what I
plus
do.
of 5 and Texans. Let's go.
Well, yeah, I don't know if of all the games I picked, that'd be the one I would jump for. But if I would gun to my head, I would go Texans plus 5.5.
All right, man.
No doubt about it.
All right.
All right, what we got next? Broncos and Chiefs. What do you got?
Broncos and Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I think they're at home. I think the Broncos have been abysmal at getting points on the board, and the Chiefs I think are good all the way around. I think they were at the heartbroken last week, and I look for them to respond. I'm all Chiefs.
What's the spread though?
Spreads they're laying a full touchdown on that.
You going with that?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know they were laying a
Monday
full
night?
touchdown.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
You must know
They're at
something.
home. They're gonna have a route.
I don't know if I'm laying the I like the Chiefs at home. I don't know if I'm laying
It's a gaudy number in the NFL, but they're at
Broncos
home.
defense.
They're coming off getting slapped across the face with that heartburn. Like, I know the way NFL teams
Broncos
generally
are
react,
slapped too, though.
and
Right now,
and I just don't think the Broncos they can't reach down and pull out as much as the Chiefs can. And they're gonna be there. It's gonna be a raucous environment.
He knows
knows-
Alex Smith.
But one thing I'm telling you, if you think he sounds crazy, folks, this man knows what he's talking about. He knows it when it comes to gambling. He knows what he's talking about. All right, next we got Oakland and Buffalo.
I'm gonna have to go with the Bills. It's less than a field goal. I like the Bills at home. They've surprised me like many others with their just continuity and solidity. The quarterback hasn't been lighting things on fire. But everybody else has been contributing. And they're at home. It's less than a field goal. I'm taking the Bills and laying 2.5.
Okay. Carolina Buccaneers.
Oh man, I hate that division. That division, I don't know what to think about the Panthers either. Cam has been a little bit schizophrenic lately. I don't know what's up with him. I like the Buccaneers at home. They've been solid. They've been surprisingly solid, and I would go Buccaneers at home, laying the 2 points. Again, less than a field goal at home in the NFL. I like that.
Them? I don't know. I think this could be the game where Tampa really comes. That could be a blowout. That's what.
Yeah, but he's laying 2, so hey, he's covered. I like Carolina, but I'm taking notes.
All right, be careful now. I know you're Don, right?
Yeah.
I know you kind of, you can get down when you need to, but this is a fanboy right here. You know how fans act crazy.
Yeah.
Hold on, man.
Steelers at the
I picked the
Lions.
Steelers to win this game, man. It hurt my heart. I picked the Steelers.
Yeah, well, I can be objective clearly because I'm really not a Lions fan. I'm a Patriots fan. I'll come right out loud and say it. So I can be clearly objective on this, and I think I'm going to take the Lions on this. I do not think I think they're going to be rested. I think they're going to be upset about their last performance. I think the Steelers have been cruising along, and I think they're due for a bit of a hiccup. The Lions are going to be at home. It's going to be raucous. And I think this is not must win. I mean, it's a little bit strong, but I think they understand that they better clean things up and they better do it quick, or it could go the wrong direction in a hurry on them. I like the Lions getting the 3 in their own joint.
All right, and our upset alert, what I think is, because I don't think the Falcons are hitting on all cylinders. I think there's some stuff going on in the organization as far as with the offensive coordinator and then the morale of the offense. Falcons and Jets, what do you got?
I'm going to take the Jets getting the 4.5, and I'm going to tell you why. The Falcons on the road laying points historically have been an absolute nightmare throughout most of their as far back as I can remember in my life. And I know that's historically, that's got to do with the here and now. I just don't trust them on the road. They're flaky. They're a little bit smoke and mirrors. You never know. They're like a chick. You know. Every 5 minutes you get a different mood. I don't know what they are. And they can be great 1 minute and make you want to throw them out of the car the next. Like, you know what I mean? I don't trust them. The Jets have been, like you said, been surprisingly solid. I do not expect the Jets to win the game, but I can see them keeping it close because the Falcons are a bit flaky.
Man, I'm taking note. I think I'm going right to Windsor when this is over. I'm taking these right to Windsor.
All right, well, we're going to run through some of the college games. We got about a minute left, so we'll kind of put you on the spot of maybe not as much an explanation. But we got number 3, Georgia versus Florida at a neutral site in Jacksonville.
Georgia all day long. I think Georgia could compete with Alabama for the number. I think they may win it all. I think Georgia could stomp the brains out of Florida. If Michigan did it, Georgia's definitely going to do it. Georgia by a big number.
What you got?
I got Georgia minus 14. Georgia wins this game by 20, if not more.
All right, we got number 11 Oklahoma State at number 22 West Virginia.
I don't like going to West Virginia. It's a funky place to play, but Oklahoma State is they're doing a lot of things right. I got Oklahoma State win 7.5. I don't like that little hook on the 7, but nevertheless, I think they got a lot more to play with. I'm going Okie State.
All right, we got to me a surprise team of the season. Looks like they may have bounced back from a couple years of being in the toilet. Is number 4 TCU at number 25 Iowa State.
TCU minus 7. I'm taking TCU minus 7. I think they got more to reach in and play with. They got a good defense. Iowa State, I think, burst their bubbles with that one big win.
Spread, man. I know ISU had the one win against Oklahoma, but
I think they blew their wad on that one.
Yeah,
I think that's all I had.
I'd put that on the lock.
Yeah.
Minus 7.
All right, we got number 14 North Carolina State heading up to number 9 Notre Dame.
I got to go with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's playing well. I mean, they really are. They're playing well, and North Carolina State is, I don't know. I can't get them out of just being North Carolina State in my mind. I'm going to go with Notre Dame at home. I like that.
Right.
Laying the 7.
All right, big game of the weekend. Number 2 Penn State at number 6 Ohio State.
It kills me to say. I'm going to go with Ohio State minus the 6.5. It's just because Penn State on the scoreboard last week looked like they blew. I mean, like they had an easy time with Michigan, but at the same time, I think they had to work harder for that number. And they took some shots, and I think they expended a lot of energy. And I think you're going into Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins that game by a touchdown.
This is going to be one of my favorite games to watch. Actually, I'm not an Ohio State fan, but I'm very interested to see what the Penn State offense can do. Because
I'm very interested.
They do.
If I watch one game, that'll be it.
If you can appreciate what they do offensively, well, week off what they did, I mean, they game plan the hell out of Michigan, and it's a very good D coordinator.
But they did have to. I think they had to work harder for that score. If you just look at the score, I think it's a little bit. They took some shots, and I think they had to play harder to get that. And I think they might have worn themselves a touch, especially going into Ohio State. It's a tough place to go.
All right, and what I think is always a sneaky game, and they always put people on upset alert. We got unranked Georgia Tech with that the only D1 team outside the academies that run triple option at number 7 Clemson with an injured quarterback. Don't know if he's playing or not. What you got?
I hate that quarterback variable. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech plus the 14. They've been playing good teams awfully well. They do that, seem like they do that year in and year out, but they never seem to come out on the winning end. They do it with Georgia every year. They did it with Miami last week. I think Clemson's better if they play their number 1 quarterback, but I see Georgia Tech keeping with 2 touchdowns, especially in a conference like that. They play people tough. They have for years, but they usually wind up losing those games. But I'll take the 14.
All right, folks. Well, you got it, Dr. Don. Chris Kent, sorry, don't use that. Just Chris. He gave you the numbers, all right? If you lose, that's your fault. You're a bum spending your money trying to wish and hope to get some money. But appreciate you coming in. We're going to start bringing you back, and we'll see what the ratings, what the people say about it. And obviously, if you win some people some money, they'll want you back.
I like this segment.
I would take the rent money out. Take the rent money out. Take the rent money out. You won't regret it.
Take the rent out.
Take the rent money out of the bank. You're gonna double it with twice as much in.
Hey, look, the words by this gentleman right here were not the words of the Rocket. We do not condone anybody taking the rent money and laying it on any game.
Don't tell the wife about it. Just tell her about it after you win.
Well, the people that do take their rent money out, you want to hang around for this next section. I want you guys to hear it, because if you do that, you're a bum.
He might be bum of the week.
So, with further ado, my favorite segment of the week is Bum of the Week.
Yes, the bum of the week. I'm back. It's been a week. It was a long. It seemed like forever since I did this segment. I know my understudy did a good job of stating his claim for bum of the week, but we're back and we're going stronger than ever this week. This week's bum of the week is a organization. It's not just a person. Usually we talk about one person. We're going to talk about an organization today because I think we are at the cusp of complete meltdown. And this specific organization has a game overseas this weekend where I think the likelihood that this is that complete breakdown of a team is going to happen. I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns are my bum of the week. And you ask why. Now, this is just not for one instance. We're going to talk about multiple things. Deshaun Kaiser starts this week. Everybody knows that. A week ago, Deshaun Kaiser got a lot of heat because he was out partying on Friday night before the game, and they said, hey, you're starting at quarterback. You look like you were still hungover. What's going on? We take you out. Kessler comes in. They still lose the game. So they make a big deal out of it. Hugh Jackson is upset. I get it. Well, I'm not mad at Deshaun Kaiser because that's what NFL players do. I'm not mad at Hugh Jackson because that's what NFL coaches do. What I am mad is about this Cleveland organization because the night before, I watched Carson Wentz go out and carve up the Redskins defense. 2 weeks ago, I watched Deshaun Watson go out and put 5 touchdowns on the board. What do these two gentlemen have in common? They are the last 2 quarterbacks who both could have been drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Since 1999, no team in the NFL has had more starting quarterbacks than the Cleveland Browns. Once again, the Cleveland Browns decided they were the smartest team in the room, traded back, drafted a guy, Deshaun Kaiser, who they don't even think is the future, and instead they passed on Deshaun Watson, who looks like another franchise quarterback. So, Cleveland's in London this week, and after Deshaun Kaiser got benched because he was out partying, he caught all type of heat, Hugh Jackson puts him in the starting lineup one more time. And I'm betting, based on what Hugh Jackson has done this year and Deshaun Kaiser's done, that this team comes to a miserable end, a miserable failure. I know I got some Cleveland Brown fans watching, listening. I went to school in Bowling Green, so I know a lot of people in Ohio, and they know my disdain for Cleveland. This is known fact. But in London this week, you may see the Baltimore Ravens Part 2. What happens in this game, you hear my words right here. Don't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns are no longer in Cleveland in the next 5 years. Because what they're doing as an organization, these people will revolt, and it will not be long before they don't even have a team. That is my lead pipe lock of the day. So, Cleveland Browns, you're going to London. You got a game this week. It's at 9 a.m. You go out there, you get that game going. Deshaun Kaiser, you go out there, you throw 5 interceptions. When you get off the field, you talk to your coach. You say, hey, coach, I should have been drafted in the first round, but you decided to trade back. You decided to take me instead of Deshaun Watson. Hey, coach, I could have been Carson Wentz a year ago. I could have been sitting somewhere waiting my turn. But right here, I'm fueled into the biggest turd in the NFL. So when you guys get on that plane, you see that you'd attended. He says, hey, our next stop's Cleveland. You raise your hand. You say, hey, sir, I don't want to go to Cleveland. I'm done with that city. You say, take me to Utah. It's too late for that. You turn that plane around. You get that pilot. You tell them to land in Salt Lake City. Put that thing down. We're not going to be the Cleveland Browns anymore. We're going to be called the Utah Pass. The Utah Pass. Because one thing we can't do in Cleveland, we can't pass. You say, thank you, flight attendant. Thank you for that flight. It wasn't bumpy. It was smooth as ever. Here's $1. You're not bum of the week, but we are. We're going to take a cab. Bum of the week, Cleveland Browns.
You know what? Because my family's from Ohio and got family there, and we got a lot of people from Ohio for whatever reason listen to the show, I would have to agree with you. I think that their franchise is abysmal. I think the decision-making process is horrible, and I don't know if they're going to be gone in 5 years, because I don't remember if you remember last time they took the team, but I don't see any. And their owner is basically a crook on Wall Street. You got to
understand, not only, I'm not saying that just because Deshaun Kaiser is actually horrible. I don't know if you watch him play. Guy's nowhere near ready to play.
Well, we knew that.
But the Cleveland Browns, once again, 2 straight years could have drafted a franchise quarterback.
Right.
And instead of drafting the guy when you know you need a quarterback to win, they decided to be the smartest person in the room, trade back and acquire picks, and what do they have? A bunch of guys that are contributing to an 0-16 team. So what if you got a defensive end that can rush the passer? So what? If he gets 2 sacks today, that won't win you a game. Texans proved that. They've proved it time and time again, and I think that what's going to happen in London this weekend, when they're going to get the doors blown off of them. Deshaun Kaiser, His career is ruined because of what happened to him on draft night. Being drafted by Cleveland and thrust into a situation where he had to play. His career is ruined. He's from Cleveland. He's a hometown kid. His career is ruined. It's gonna be ending in London this weekend. Mark my words. It's sad, but that organization. You think about the Lions and the 0-16 team. The problem with Cleveland is the talent level is not as bad as that Lions team, but the people making the decisions at the top are the worst.
And it's the top because what's coming out is Hugh Jackson. He wanted Wentz, they didn't go with him, and they also wanted to go after Watson, and they said no. So it's slowly coming out because he knows that the writing's on the wall. They may fire him, so he's trying to let the rest of the league.
No, but you look at I mean, I understand Myles Garrett. You still could have got Deshaun Watson instead of Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett. You got Myles Garrett, Jabril Peppers, and a tight end that can't catch the ball.
Yeah, what you said before, they were luxury.
And then Carson Wentz, instead of Carson Wentz last year, they got Corey Coleman, who can't stay on the field. They traded back and got Corey Coleman, and they picked up another pick. So, like I said, you got a bunch of guys who look like they may be talented who are going to contribute to a horrible team. And they proved it time and time again. They're a bum organization. Bum of the week.
They're going to need more than $1.
Yeah. Well, in Utah, they might not.
All right, well, we had the Godfathers on with their giving you the spreads, betting on games. I don't do that, but what I do is I play fantasy, and I'm pretty good. Won a lot of money. So I'm going to give you guys, now last week, I wasn't good. It was probably the worst numbers I've ever had playing FanDuel or DraftKings. So again, this week I'm going to give you a little treat. I'm going to give you the whole lineups. So you can go out there, and if you win some money, like I said, send it to me. If you lose, you shouldn't have been gambling. All right. For DraftKings, what I got is at quarterback, I'm going to be starting Carson Wentz against San Francisco. Everybody's going against San Francisco, is eating up their secondary. I don't see that changing, and they're going to be playing in a little cold weather in Philly. My running back, I'm going to stack him with two people. I'm going to take Blunt. He's been okay, but once again, their defense is one of the worst in the league, and the way he ended his game last week, he should pick up where he left off, cutting through him. I'm going to go with Jordan Howard. He's ever since they started Cohen, and 2 weeks ago he was getting carries, they lit a fire under his ass, and he's been balling, so I'm going to go with him. Moving on, take Kelvin Benjamin. I don't think the Panthers are going to win, but I think they're going to score a lot of points in that game, and he's obviously the number one target, because I don't care what you say, Funts is all right, but when Calvin Benjamin goes out the game, there's really nobody for him to throw the ball to outside of McCaffrey. And go Will Fuller. He's the next receiver. Will Fuller. He's getting a good chemistry with Deshaun Watson. He's got 5 touchdowns since he's been back from injury, and they had 2 weeks to work on their chemistry. So I'll go with that. I'm also another receiver I'm going with, and I usually don't because he always fails me. But it's Ted Ginn. It seems like him and Breeze are getting a good rapport together, going down the field with each other, and with some of the other receivers that are developing, he's becoming a weapon. And now with the running game picking up, and obviously with the kid out of Tennessee, he's starting to get a little more love. So they're starting to form a pretty good offense. So he's becoming a weapon for them. Obviously, I'm going to stack Ertz with. I didn't go with any Eagles receivers, so I'm going to stack Ertz with. Wentz with Ertz. They got a good chemistry. He scored a touchdown every game they've played with, so that'll give you some points. He's leading tight ends in almost every category. Your flex, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go with Jordan Reed. Looks like he's getting a little healthy. He had a decent game last week. We'll see if he can keep that up he's had success against the Cowboys a lot with that cover 2 scheme that they run. So we'll see what happens. And then my defense, I'm gonna go with the Texans. I think that Seattle's offense is horrible. They can't run the ball. They got a lot of injuries. Once you double ball, when you just have them going at Richardson, Lockett's really not doing anything this year. So I'm going to go with the Texans defense. So those are my DraftKings picks. I'm going to slide it over to FanDuel. Now, some of the same players, obviously I'm going to stack again, Wentz and Ertz with quarterback tight end. I'm going with Mark Ingram from the Saints at running back. They're going to feed him the rock because that seems, as they're running the ball, it's making the offense go. Again, put Blunt in there. My receivers, I'm going to have Kevin Benjamin again and Will Fuller, but I'm going to have A.J. Green. He's going up to play Indianapolis in the Dome. They're playing at Cincinnati. Indianapolis is struggling mightily in everything, so I'm going to look at A.J. Green. Obviously, he played the Steelers last week, but the 3 previous games, he was lighting it up. Kicker, I'm going with Jake Elliott with the Eagles. He's coming there. They're moving the ball. You just want a kicker who's going to have opportunity to score. And between him and the Titans kicker, those have been the best fantasy kickers outside of Atlanta. But I'm not trusting them going into those heavy winds in the meadow. Is it still the Meadowlands? Or what is it now? I don't know what it is over there now. And they'll go with the Saints defense. They have put up a lot of points. They've scored 6 times defensively this season so far, so they're a cheap add-on, so that's why I went with the Saints, but hopefully they'll score you some points. Now, there's a new thing on FanDuel. It's actually free. Not putting money on it. It's called the FanDuel Golden 5. What you get to do, you don't have to worry about salary cap or anything. You just pick 5 players, and you win. You have a chance to win $1,000, but if you pick a perfect lineup, I think the pot this week is $160,000. It keeps adding every week unless someone gets a perfect lineup. So what I got this week is, again, I have Carson Wentz, Le'Veon Bell at running back, Freeman running back for the Falcons. The Jets defense is pretty awful against the run, so I'm going to go with him, and he's looked good all season. Got AJ Green, and then also I'm going to take Adam Thielen over there going against the terrible secondary of Cleveland. And I think that their offense is going to struggle against the Vikings defense, so the offense should get a couple more opportunities with the ball. So those are my picks this week. Like I said, if you win some money, hey, send us 10% of it in. If not, shouldn't have been betting. So
20%.
20%. That's at least 15. That's what you tip, right? So,
yeah.
But with that, go ahead and play it. Like I said, I've been pretty good. You stick with me, you're gonna win a couple thousand over the course of the season. I won about $10,000 in my last 2 years of playing. So follow me, and I'll take you somewhere. You know who that is?
Shut up. Another big weekend of upsets. Michigan lost to Penn State, thanks, 42-13, and USC lost 49-14 to ND. What's your take, Rocco?
I told you last week. You go put the tapes on. I said that Michigan was going to get blown out. Had no doubt in my mind because the offense is so bad. I knew Penn State was going to get more touches of the ball. And eventually Saquon, what is that? You can't stop him, hope to contain him. But if you keep giving him all those looks, I don't understand. And I'll go in a little more depth with the football talk. Whatever, I figured, I know they've been playing a lot of zone the last couple of weeks, and I figured they would stick with that. But he decided, Don Brown just said, I'm going to blitz. And he blitzed. He left people manned up. Wasn't so worried about Hamilton. He had a field day. But they had McCrary one-on-one with Barkley. McCrary looks like a defensive tackle. And you got him trying to keep up with you.
Slow. I thought they honestly. I thought they played more man, more one high safety for most games, and I thought they would play a lot of zone against Penn State because of the matchup situations. And then I at least thought that they would go nickel and bring in the third corner to put, because when they did put in Lavar Hill at the slot, it helped. But yeah, I mean Michigan's defense got exposed. Michigan offense is what we thought they were.
You didn't slam the table.
At this point, man, I'm scratching my head at what
You want to
what's going to
crown?
happen. I don't know what they're doing up there. I would like to see Brandon Peters. I don't care if he's good or not. This is the thing about, and I was talking about this with somebody else. At this point, you almost had a lose-lose with Brandon Peters, because if the guy comes in and he's good, then it's going to say, well, then why the hell didn't you play him a long time ago? And if the guy comes in and he's bad, you're going to say, oh my God, they're going to be in trouble next year.
I think the problem is what I've heard up there, I got sources. The problem is that Pep loves him, feels he's one of the best quarterback specimens he's ever been around, period.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is he's a little lazy, he's a little arrogant. He's not picking, it's a new offense, he's not picking it up fast. And I think
offenses, what is he not? Is O'Corn picking up this offense? Because he don't look like he don't drop back on his fifth step to get rid of the ball.
But you got guys that play, he hasn't played, so they're scared that they're going to have to limit the playbook more. I'm just telling
O'Corn,
you.
the day that O'Corn throws to his second read, as a fifth-year senior, the day that he throws to a second read will be the first time he does it. I've never seen him throw to a second read.
I'm not arguing with you. I agree if you put
to
him
be
in.
his fifth-year senior, it's a shame to see a quarterback do what he does.
Because I'm not a Michigan fan at all, period. And they're going to lose 2 more. They're going to lose to Wisconsin, and they're going to get smoked by Ohio State. So they're going to have at least four losses. So I hope they do put them in. I hope it makes it even worse. I hope they lose another game. I hope they finish 7-5.
I mean, I'm sure you hope.
I'm telling you, your boy,
Yeah,
if they go
sure.
7-5, your boy's going to go take the Indianapolis job and coach with love.
He's not leaving like that. He won't leave like that. I don't know why you make it sound like this dude's gonna run from a challenge. He went to a dumpster fire in San Francisco. I don't think he leaves Michigan until he gets it right. That's
a fact.
I would be more concerned if they were like undefeated about him leaving than I am about them sucking. I don't think he leaves like that.
They suck. Next. USC, Notre Dame.
Purdue lost to Rutgers last week, man. Let's talk about that.
We're not talking about that.
Exactly.
Let's talk about what you asked me a question about. You said USC, Notre Dame, Michigan. USC, Notre Dame caught me off guard. I was not. The quarterback play from Notre Dame is awful. Their run game's okay, but I figured USC would go in there. I figured it'd be a tight game, but when I saw it, when the score flashed up, I said that's got to be wrong, and it just kept going up, and then
who's lost more money than USC starting quarterback?
I don't think he was coming out anyway. I think he's been adamant he's not.
Oh, but when the season started, he was the #1 prospect.
Yeah.
So he's lost money.
Sure.
He can't even get his money back. You can't even trust him now. You can't. He got too much bad tape.
Yeah, next year he goes out and wins national title.
He won't be #1 pick. I'm just telling you, he's got too much bad tape for teams to trust him with the #1 pick now. That's just my pick. You can't have this much bad tape and just turn it back.
I understand, but if he comes back another year and turns around, I think it won't matter.
I mean, look at how they did Deshaun Watson, man. I mean, dude had some of the best games ever, and they talk about he threw too many interceptions. That's why he slipped to number 12. I just think that he's ruined his chance of ever being the #1 pick. Well, you want to talk Josh Jackson? I see you got the second.
Josh Jackson let us down.
I'm not even a fan. I was impressed with him last week.
I wish Michigan would have got Josh Jackson. Then we wouldn't be in this predicament. Right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
I mean, literally. Like, outside the house.
Man.
Maybe his daddy was mad at going there.
I don't think he was even that highly touted, though. He wasn't. Not like this. I mean, Anyway, enough of that. Who are your top 4 college football playoff teams now?
Well, you missed it last week. And, mine got pretty much ruined, that Alabama-Florida State game when Francois went down. I figured even if they lost to Alabama and they went out and beat Clemson in some of their ACC games, they'd be fine. But they're out, and then I still believed in USC. I know they had a hiccup with Washington State, but they're out. So what I'm doing now this week is I think OSU, having that span those 3 bum teams they played, they worked out the kinks. We'll find out this weekend. I think that they're gonna, and we'll get to that later. I think that they're gonna hand it to Penn State. So I still got OSU. Bama just looks, I don't know. We'll see when they get to Georgia, but Bama just looks like they're unstoppable. I'm gonna throw this. I finally sat down and watched TCU games, and they are a good football team. They're winning on defense. Gary Patterson said that's his cornerstone. They're starting to play some good offense. What I do have in there, and I'm starting to be a believer, is Georgia. And I think if they play a tight game, and either one of Bama them lose in the SEC championship because of their body of work, I think they'll both get in. So right now I got my 4s: OSU, Bama, TCU, and Georgia. Now,
okay. These are my top 4 teams, right?
For the playoffs.
Now, are these not the teams that must make it, or these are the top 4 teams that I think should make it?
I mean, is your prediction still intact from the beginning of the season?
No.
So
no, it is. I had Washington.
They're not gonna make it.
I mean, who knows? They're not that good, but I had Alabama, Washington, Ohio State, and Clemson.
So you still think Clemson?
I still think Clemson is one of the better teams. Yeah, they had a hiccup in Syracuse. I still think healthy, Clemson is still one of the top 4 teams in the country. I think they're going to bounce back. So Alabama and Clemson are locks. I think in the Big Ten, and I struggle back to this for. I watched all the tape. Penn State, I like what Penn State does. Like, I like what they do. And Saquon Barkley, I think, is a difference maker that I haven't seen in college for a while. And I know we had some very good running backs. I think what Saquon Barkley does now is better than what Zeke did at Ohio State.
Absolutely. Because
of how he can attack you. The dude starts at a kick return. I mean, they get the ball to him so many different ways. I think that at that game, Penn State, Ohio State, Penn State arrives in the top 4, in my opinion.
I'll jump on, before we get to our game picks. Obviously that's a big game.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a technical aspect of it. What I saw Michigan do, which I don't know, maybe it's because Harbaugh didn't have faith in the corner, but when they went spread, Penn State was exposed. Their defense is built like a old school Big Ten defense as far as in the box.
Mm-hmm.
Those backers, if they don't bring in a safety with Ohio State going spread or trips, those backers cannot stay in the game because they're exposed. Now the problem is you got 2 hell-of-fire running backs Ohio State has running that zone. I think they're going to be in more of a pickle than they think because they're the slot receivers and the responsibility they're going to have if they go to a 4-2-5 or if they stay in that 4-3. I don't know what they're going to do. I think Ohio State is going to put a lot of pressure on this defense and expose them. And I don't think they have great corners.
Penn State has one of the top 10 defenses in the country.
I understand that, but we're talking about specific matchups. I think their weakness is going to be their linebackers in coverage. And then because here's the thing, if you start getting killed and they start widen out a little bit, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit you on the inside.
Well, I think that Penn State should stay. Stopping the run should be your number one. You should make JT beat you with zone coverage.
Absolutely.
Make him make throws against zone. I'm fine with them keeping 3 linebackers on the field. I don't care. JT's going to have to beat me over and over throwing the ball.
But here's the other thing, and I'm a defensive lineman, so that Ohio State defense is literally the 4 positions on the field. They are about 8 to 9 deep of guys who can, if somebody gets hurt, the next guy coming in, there's not a drop-off. I think Michigan, and I argue with you there, Rashawn Gary's overrated. I think Winovich, the white boy, I think he's their best guy. He couldn't get there.
No, he's not better than Mo Hurst.
I'm talking about pure pass rushing. I'm talking that aspect of pass rushing. This we'll get after. Haven't seen any horses like this coming their way.
Penn State gets rid of the ball. They do a lot. That's what I think.
I understand
they
that.
do a lot of things.
If they're going to throw it, that's what
We'll
I want
see.
you to do.
We'll
I want to
see.
keep the short game. I don't want Hamilton running deep routes, post.
I just think that they keep the big play in the offense, even with quick counts, because they do so many things preset, so many shifts, so many motions, that they get matchups. I mean, they got a 6'7" tight end who's a former volleyball player. Dude's got like a 44-inch vertical. You'd have me if you hadn't said volleyball player. He is.
I understand that, but he'll go over there. He's gonna find out.
But he's a 6'7". He's got a 44-inch vertical. I mean, I don't care what do you do with that.
You hit him in the gut when he jumps. That's
I'm
what
just telling you. I think Penn State
we got witnesses right here in this room right now. I'm telling you, look at those matchup problems, and you playing the horseshoe. I'm gonna tell you, I played the horseshoe. When you get down in the closed, well, it's all closed now. You get down in those end zones, inside the red zone, coming out or going in, but especially coming out, you can't hear anything. So they better work on the silent count.
So who's got the better running backs? Saquon Barkley or the 2 horses at Ohio State?
The better running back.
Okay, so advantage Penn State. Penn State.
Yeah.
Who's got the better quarterback? McSorley or JT Barrett?
I'm gonna go with JT Barrett.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm gonna go.
If you got to make, you talking about just what?
Here's what I still believe. McSorley is not an accurate short game thrower.
Yeah.
He's big down the field. And you're not going. And here, Ohio State's defense.
JT Barrett is a bum, dude.
You got a JT Barrett joke, Turk? JT Barrett joke?
I'm not on so many. I mean, JT Barrett,
2 years ago.
He's been in college for decades. So you would think he know how to throw a 5-step drop by now. He can't throw.
He's getting worse.
All right, we're gonna find out. And I'm gonna pound you next week when I come in here, and just like Michigan, but you were lucky because you missed that prediction.
JT Barrett drops his kids off at daycare before practice.
But he still wins games. I don't care what he do in his own time.
I'm just telling you, the dude got 3 kids, all over 7.
When he doesn't hit free time, it's on him.
Go Blue Buckeyes.
What else we got?
Sean Kemp.
Top games and predictions. No. We got Georgia and Alabama. We talked about this one. Georgia and Alabama are probably the top 2 teams in the SEC. Georgia's come a long way. I'm honest. They look like Georgia's that team that's always been talented and they haven't been able to figure it out. They look the part now. They do. But they got to get through Alabama.
They got, they got 2 good quarterbacks too. So if somebody gets hurt, the other
and
guy
they got
comes
3
in.
good running backs.
So their defense is not Alabama's level, but Kirby Smart.
Defense has always been good.
But I mean, they're on a new level now.
Yeah, they look like they're dialed in right now, and that's gonna be something to watch. Georgia, Alabama. I think it's been a while. I know Georgia fans have been waiting for this for years.
Since the last time they met in the SEC championship, where they missed by an inch.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not even talking about just the championship. I'm talking about to see a team that looks like it's reaching its potential in the regular season, winning games they're supposed to, and not making them close.
Right.
Like this looks like the Georgia teams of. I'm gonna go back a while. I'm going back like Champ Bailey, Georgia, like Boss Bailey, Georgia.
Them cats.
I'm saying those teams that would
put
you in the ground.
Kendrell Bell.
Yeah,
there was some
yeah,
dogs on that.
yeah.
Stroud
and Marcus Stroud. Yeah.
and
Those teams. Was Eric Zaire?
We had a dude that played for looked like Urkel played for the Cowboys. Quincy
Carter.
Quincy Carter.
Quincy Carter was good in college.
They had the man to do Edwards that hurt his knee at the Pro Bowl.
Troy Edwards?
Yeah. No, the running back.
Yeah, Troy. It was
No,
Troy.
Troy
Robert
Edwards.
Edwards. Robert Edwards. Yeah, blew the out. Yeah.
Yeah, Boss Bill. That was a squad, boy.
Yeah, but they looked apart, so we'll see. So top games or predictions for Week 9. We got. We just talked about Georgia versus Florida. I think that's a no-brainer for both of us.
Yeah.
Like Georgia, I think
Georgia
Georgia.
should-
It's gonna be funny if we got all this faith in Georgia and they go down there and lay an egg versus Florida, who's not a good team.
Florida have a quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback in any high school, college, pros, you're not going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Tell that to Cleveland Browns though. They haven't figured it out yet. Oklahoma State at West Virginia, which I think this is going to be a better game than people give it credit for. West Virginia at home is going to be tough.
This is the no defense league.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a 7-point victory, but it might be 76 to 69.
You got two crafty spread quarterbacks in this game who throw the ball a lot, who are going to put up points. I actually like West Virginia at home in this game.
Dana Holgerson I know he finally shaved all that stuff that was blowing the wind off. He's trying to tighten up. I just don't think they got enough defense, and Oklahoma State knows that they got to get to Bedlam with this one loss. If they lose here, I think Mike Gundy might be on the hot seat. I know it sounds crazy, but he's always taken them to the point where they either lose to Oklahoma or they lose, like you said, a game that they shouldn't lose. So
Man, 2 losses to Oklahoma State.
he's been doing it consistently for the last.
What more do you want in Oklahoma State though? They don't get top recruits, man. They get JUCOs and 3-stars.
But I don't care what he gets. He's been performing with them, but he can't get over the hump. And people, it's all about.
I
bottom
would
line,
never
right?
get rid of Mike Gundy.
I'm not saying you should. There's a lot of people get fired. You
fire a dude that gets 2 losses a game in Oklahoma
They
State.
fired
You
John
don't get-
Cooper, who had an 80% winning percentage just because he couldn't beat
That's
one
Ohio
team.
State, though.
But I understand
Two
it's the
different-
same
no.
thing though. He was winning 11 games a year, and then he lose to Michigan. They miss
Yeah,
all
but
that
it's
so time.
Ohio State, man. I don't think Oklahoma State. They have aspirations of winning championships. Every
If
year.
T. Boone Pickens says, "I want him out of here," there ain't too many people that say no. Man.
I think Mike Gundy has the lifetime pass.
All right.
Two losses a year.
Plus he's 40.
I'm a man.
What we got next?
TCU at Iowa State.
I think I believe what Chris said. I think they shot the wad when they won their upset.
I don't think Iowa State has any business in the top 25. I think that game was just a freak of nature.
They didn't have your guy comes in, you have no film on that hasn't played quarterback since high
He was
school.
a linebacker.
He just runs it. So I think I just think TCU is on a mission. I think their defense is for real. I think they're to go up there and handle their business.
NC State at Notre Dame.
I'm like Chris said. I'm probably go Notre Dame. I still don't have faith in the quarterback, but Notre Dame's a hard place to play at. It's a hard place to win at. They got confidence now. They're believing in themselves, and once you get that belief that you can win, it's hard. It's hard to win on the road in general, but I just think North Carolina State doesn't have enough. I think Notre Dame.
I think this is I know North Carolina State's got a very good running back / special teams return guy. This is we got to take them seriously type game for
Yeah.
NC State, and I think they're gonna have everything in the bag. I got NC State with the upset at this one.
Okay. I mean, they're primed for it. And
And the golden one, I already said, Penn State at Ohio State. I think everybody is going to be watching this game. This is going to be interesting to see these two teams match up. Like I said, and I know Ohio State's got all the bells and whistles. I just think that Penn State, what they do, they've said, these are our matchup. These are our matchups. These are our best matchups, and they have figured out ways to exploit those matchups all year. I like Penn State. I think they got their confidence last week. They whooped a very good Michigan. Let's not. Michigan's got a good defense, and they whooped them. All right. I think they're going to do enough to win this game, and JT Barrett's going to do enough to lose the game.
Ohio State wins it, and I'm going to tell you what. I said it last. It's not going to be a blow. I think it's 14 points. I think when they get down, Penn State is built to me still, even though they got a few things. Their receivers aren't they are a team that's built to play with the lead. I think if they get down 10, 12, and they start to panic, I think you'll find out McSorley is what he was last year, a guy that runs around and tries to throw the deep pass. I think people have seen that, and they'll, like when we play we play some teams, say, hey, listen, quarterback runs around with D-line, man, let's stay in coverage. I think you'll start seeing those. Also, he throws the ball at a low trajectory. I think Ohio State's linemen, you'll see some balls tipped up. Turnover, a score on defense or a special team, there's going to be something. But I'm looking at a turnover on defense, and he's going to be under pressure, man. And he's going to take some shots. We're going to find out what kind of heart he has.
Stop the run, win the game. I think Penn State comes into this game They stopped the run. They stopped the 2 running backs in J.T. Barrett. They win the game.
Come on, man. Those are not the bums you talking about. Those are 2 capable.
When I say stop the run, I'm talking about 175 yards rushing. Don't give them 250. Give them 175. I don't think J.T. Barrett can beat you.
No, but them 2 backs can if you let them get rolling.
That's what I said. Stop the run, win the game.
That's how easier said than done.
Well, that's what it's going to take. I mean, they want to stop Saquon Barkley, right?
So I'm gonna throw this one in there because I don't know. The upset game is Georgia Tech and Clemson. I'm taking Georgia Tech because that, in the era that we play, you're practicing spread, and then you got to practice. You got 4 days to get ready for the triple option, really 3. And at this point in the season, they're probably not hitting that much. And Clemson's quarterback is hobbled. Let's see if he comes back and play. I got Georgia Tech on the upset.
I like Clemson. I know Clemson's missing their starting quarterback. They still got a very good defense against this team. I think they still have a high. They have a 5-star backup. So I still think Clemson has enough to get it done. Georgia Tech, they run the wishbone. I know that the triple option is going to give problems, but on the outside they can't match up with what Clemson does.
Right.
I still think they have enough to get it.
I don't know. Like I say, Georgia Tech at the end of the year is always the main culprit of ruining people's season. So, all right, BG, the Bums down in Bowling Green and Western Michigan have byes this week, so you guys are safe. Purdue is playing Nebraska. I know they had a slip up last week. I think Nebraska's coming down to Ross Aid. I think Purdue handles business. They're gonna looks like Sindelar maybe getting a start over Blau because he's the more dynamic player. So we shall see what's going on. But I got Purdue beating Nebraska. So we'll see. But you guys are playing next week, and they got some tough games. So I'll be looking forward to picking against you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hater. See that, hater?
Yeah. Mighty Mac.
All right, everyone. Well, this is our favorite time of the show as we get to talk about our passion. That's high school football. And if you don't know, we're in week 10, which is the first round of the playoffs. And we're going to make some picks. We're going to go over some things. I'm going to say this, Turk, and I don't know if you agree with me. I'm looking at, as far as in Division I and Division II, the games are a little bit lackluster. I'll run through a couple of them real quick. We won't pick all of them, but we'll just go numerically. So in Quadrant 1 for Division I, you got Granville and West Ottawa playing. You got Grand Ledge, Rockford, Davidson, Lapeer, Clarkston, and Grand Blanc. Not really a lot you're looking at that week. Probably Clarkston's, probably the overall, I think will come out of that quadrant. You got Wall Lake Central, Lakeland, Stevensonville, Catholic Central, Belleville, Salem, Canton, Saline. That might actually be good, looking at Saline and Canton, and possibly Catholic Central and Stevenson. We'll see what happens with that. But once again, that's a round very lackluster. Then you move over to the other side, Quadrant 3. You've got Chippewa Valley and Mott, Dakota, Anchor Bay, Fortson, Western International, and you got Cass Tech and Grosse Pointe South. I look at Chippewa Valley had a good year. Dakota is always strong. We'll see. Cass Tech's not having a great year, but they got a lot of talent, and talent, wins out a lot of times. So probably look at Cass Tech, but there should be some good games as you get further into that. And in Quadrant 4 for Division I, it's probably maybe the toughest one. You got Rochester, Adams, and Romeo. Utica, Eisenhower, Utica, West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills, Mott, and Troy. I would probably, if I had to watch a game this weekend, I would probably go with Romeo won a state title a couple years ago, and Adams is coming back and resurging to what they used to be. West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Hills is going to be an interesting game. West Bloomfield lost to them second week of the season, but they've won 7 straight games, so we'll see with that. That's going to be a nice little matchup. You got 2 Division I quarterbacks going at it, 2 MAC quarterbacks. Going at it, so I like to see that, and then so that would probably be the highlight of Division I. What do you say, Turk?
I don't know. Rockford and Grand Ledge. I think Rockford always has a good, solid team. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be in the hunt this year too. So other than that one, I don't know. I think honestly, and I know I'm biased because they're my rival. I think Catholic Central might be in trouble this week just because Lavoie Stevenson is not a pushover, and Catholic Central still trying to figure things out offensively. They coming off they got whooped in the Catholic League Championship. So we'll see. I think they're on upset alert because people would call it an upset even though they're not the home team.
Because if they don't follow it, they just see Catholic Central.
Yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
be. They go over to and we'll get a little more into it, but Division II. It may be a good year. I don't know. I'm looking at, if you go to the west side of the state in Quadrant 1, you have Midland and Traverse City Central. You have Traverse City West, Midland Dow, Forest Hill Central, Matawan, and you have Mona Shores and Portage Central. A lot of those teams are all evenly matched. So, it could be, Portage Central had a decent year. Mona Shores is always good. Traverse City Central, they've stumbled the last couple of weeks, but they're usually strong. Midland's won some state titles. Midland Dow's played, so in that quadrant, we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if I can't pick somebody definitely coming out of there. Quadrant 2, you got Fenton and Carmen Ainsworth, Flushing and Lowell, Wall Lake Western and Franklin, Pinckney and Churchill. It'll be interesting. I think that when you get down to the semifinals, I'm probably going to be looking at Wall Lake Western and Lowell playing each other, and that'll be an interesting game. Lowell is a pounded out, run on you. Wall Lake Western, a real athletic team, likes to play on the perimeter, has a pretty good quarterback in Sam Johnson, good line, it's a decent receiver, so that'll probably be the highlight of that quadrant. We'll see what happens with that. Swinging over to Quadrant 3, you got Roosevelt and Bedford, Lincoln and Woodhaven, King and Edsel Ford, and East English Village Prep and Grosse Pointe. I think it's either going to be King or East English that comes out of that. I'm going to put my money on King. They still got a lot of talent over there, and I think they'll wrap that quadrant up pretty easily. Going down to Quadrant 4, which I think might be pretty tough. You got Oak Park and Royal Oak. You got Groves, Brother Rice, Port Huron, Northern, and Roseville, and you got Ferndale and De La Salle. Interesting. I think Oak Park's going to smack Royal Oak. Brother Rice and Groves are interesting, and I was a part of this game last year, which I'm just saying we shouldn't have lost. We had some terrible offensive coaches on that side of the ball, which cost us the game. And it was kind of it was a big win for that school, and it's kind of a black eye for a school like Rice to lose to someone like that. I think Groves' record looks good, but I don't think they really played anybody this year. I think Brother Rice has got a little confidence and coming out at the end of the year. I'm going to go out and say that Brother Rice beats Groves, so it'll be a nice little matchup to see Rice and Oak Park playing each other. I look at De La Salle winning that whole quadrant though anyway, as long as they stay healthy. So Quadrant 4, and then I'm probably, before I get anything else, what do you think about that?
Well, I have on my Brother Rice gear, and I am a coach at Brother Rice, so of course I expect us to beat Groves tomorrow. Like I said, last year we left a lot of points on the field. Seeing the same team, specifically, I don't think defensively they're as good as they were last year. I'm not going to get too much into it. I know the weather's going to be a little rain, but I expect us to win that game. I do think Quadrant 4 is one of the more competitive regions. I'm interested to see what De La Salle and Ferndale looks like. I think Ferndale is not as bad as people give it credit for, but De La Salle has to go on the road for some reason in that first game. So we'll see what that does to them. But De La Salle has to be the favorite in this quadrant, obviously. Then obviously Oak Park after that. So it'll be an interesting quadrant. I really like Region 2, and just Division 2 in general. I think Division 1, just to go back on it, I think there's not a lot of sizzle this year because Cass is not a dominant team. Catholic Central's basically down. It's really kind of up in the air who makes that run to get to the championship. So I think this is going to be more of as you go along, you don't have an idea who's the favorite. As we get 3 games into this, I think there's going to be a lot of teams who have a legitimate shot at winning that championship.
Well, what I got, if you want to, I don't know, I just kind of did this, so I don't know if you have it, but I said, I kind of got my Final 4. I picked Eisenhower and Cass Tech, basically rematch of last year. Not that Cass Tech is great, I just don't think that they're just athletically, they're just going to be better than the teams they face.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, and if weather plays a factor, they can run. We know PSL teams can run the ball. I got Clarkston and Saline. Clarkston is always a solid team. Saline has been coming on the last couple of years. They got some good athletes up there. What I have is Eisenhower and Clarkston playing for D1 title, and I got Ike winning D1.
If there was a team that I would say not only deserves, but has put in the work and looks the part, it's got to be Ike. They've got to be right there on the doorstep. They start off with their crosstown rival, which should be an easy win for them, but they got their senior quarterback back. He's there. They were a miraculous catch away from being in that state championship last year. So you got to think that team's hungry and ready to go. Celine-wise, I don't know. I like Belleville a lot. I think Belleville is a very underrated team. Man, if you look at that roster, they got some horses on that roster, and you wonder why people don't talk about them more as a team. They talk about a lot of those guys individually, but they don't talk about them enough as a team. I just got to believe that much talent on the team at this point in the season, all hands on deck, that they make a run. So I like Belleville doing some things there. On the other side of that, it's really a toss-up at this point. You know, Cass Tech is like an easy choice, you know, because they always do it. So, you know, I can't go wrong and pick Cass Tech in that aspect. So I will go with Cass Tech there. The other part, I'm going to say that, you know, I pick a fourth team. I guess if I had to pick a fourth team, I guess I will go with Clarkston. I guess, you know, that's up in the air. I don't know. Like I said, it's so much parity this year that I can't really point Clarkston out of that group. But I really like Ike, and Cass is defending champion, so you can never count them out.
So I went D2 is going to make you a little upset, but my final four, I got King versus De La Salle.
Oh my God.
And I have Wall Lake Western versus Mona Shores. De La Salle and King to be a toss-up, but again, Catholic League teams just, for the most part, have done well against the PSL. A lot of times they got better quarterback play and better line play, a little bit better discipline, so I'm always going to go with that. I know King is loaded, but this year their quarterback is sketchy, and so I'm just going to stick and obviously playing in the Catholic League and support a Catholic League team making a run, but I just think they've been battle tested this year, whereas the PSL schools they're only playing East English and Cass, so De La Salle is more battle hardened. And then I got Wall Lake Western versus Mona Shores. Wall Lake Western is just I don't know if they're I think they're a good team. I just think they're going to be superior athletically to most of the teams they play on that side of the bracket. And I don't know why they always put those guys on that side. They should be on the other side with us. And Mona Shores, it was like you just said in D1, it's kind of a toss-up who comes out of that division, but Mona Shores has had the most recent success, and they have a decent team. And usually they have good quarterback play. They had 2 years ago, they had a great quarterback. So my final is De La Salle versus Wall Lake again, and I think Wall Lake gets clipped again, and De La Salle wins the state title in D2.
De La Salle, yeah, whatever. De La Salle will have to beat us to do that, and that's not going to happen. Okay. So my final four, I've got obviously Brother Rice versus King. I know we haven't played in a while, but those who know the history of that battle know that it's been some good competition in the past. I do like Muskegon Mona Shores coming out of that. But I think Lowell gets it done versus Wall Lake Western. I would watch out for them. As far as just matchup, I just think Lowell's a gritty team, and they're going to give Wall Lake Western some problems in that second round. And I like them making a run. So those will be my final four.
And my last for D3, I'm not even going to go
D3.
through it. Hold on, wait. I'm not even going to go through it. It's Muskegon. No, you don't need to dig the notes. It's Muskegon versus the field, and I'm taking Muskegon. They should really be playing in D2. I don't know why they moved to D3.
I don't know how they got
them
that
in
done.
Orchard Lake, St. Mary's, but I wish it's going to be interesting because I don't think Harrison has the horse to beat them, but I think Harrison can move into D3. They'll have some success, but Muskegon, a little bit of film I've seen on them, might be better than team that Rice played a couple years ago in state title. They're
a very good quarterback,
yeah.
Good athlete. I mean, they're a good team. They got an offensive lineman that's going to Kentucky.
Yeah, they got some stuff.
They got some horses. So I mean, that's all they do is eat, sleep, and drink football down there. So Muskegon opens up. I just saw today Muskegon and De La Salle open up next year and the year after that.
Was the Kickoff Classic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be a good. I like that matchup. You know, bringing the team from out there on the west side.
Well, everybody, if you're not doing anything this Friday and Saturday, get online, check out all the games, and go check them out. A lot of these schools, they need the money from the games, and also support these guys. But there's some good matchups, but there's a lot of college talent. I'll tell you, if my game to go see is probably West Bloomfield and Bloomfield Hills. It's kind of a revenge game. They got beat last year by West Bloomfield, but John Paddock got knocked out the game. So he's back. He's healthy. He's Ball State commit. And obviously we had Bryce Beasley and Coach Bellamy on last week. So
I got to be honest, I'm watching tape. We're preparing for the playoffs. We didn't know if we were playing Wall Lake Western or we were playing against Groves, and we watched. So I watched a lot of tape of West Bloomfield, playing against Wale Western, and then playing against Groves. And I mean, they the speed that they go. I think West Bloomfield is playing some of the best football in the state. It's tough for me to pick them because they've never done it. It's just that first time when you got to make that run. It's just hard. Not only on the coach, players, different culture. You know, it's that playoff time, and they've had several years of upsets. So I can't side with a team that continues to get those upsets. Paddock is, pound for pound, probably the best player in the state, in my opinion. Kid, a lot of people speak highly of the kid, cerebral. I think the thing that's going to hurt them tomorrow is that it's going to rain. It's a rainy game, and he's a guy that wants to throw the ball 40 times.
Yeah, and their run game is not like what it was last year.
Yeah, so, I think West Bloomfield's going to win that game, but I would say that's a game to go see if you're out.
All right. Well,
or Brother Rice Birmingham, because this is going to be a grudge match.
Yeah, it's a grudge match, and I'll just tell you what, those guys were classless. You
I've already heard some things. So,
yeah.
it is what happens. You win once in your lifetime, and this happens. But hey, we move on. We got next year. Here we are.
I always say this. That'll be the greatest moment in their lives. It was just a game for us, so win or lose. All right. Well, before we get out of here, also want to talk to Dr. Kentz, who's here. He is also, not only is he a great picker of games, but he also is a chiropractor. And I send a lot of my athletes that I have to him to get adjusted, and he's taught me a lot of things about how being lined up correctly will help get more out of your body when you're playing. So real quick, just tell us a little bit about your business, what you're doing, where you guys are located, and then how, because we got a lot of athletes, high schoolers listen, how they can get in touch with you and go from there.
I'm located in Novi. Phone number 248-320-1108. You can get direct contact with me. That's Dr. Direct. Goes right to me. You can text or call. Any questions, concerns, I'll be happy to explain things thoroughly. I basically maximize what a person has to work with. I mean, so if they come in and there's somebody who's not an athletic person, but they're maybe trying to make their body just work better and just get out of pain, maybe just so they can get a little bit more efficient function out of their body, all the way up to people who are top athletes and they're non-symptomatic and they're just trying to maximize their efficiency, maximize their performance. Because with that, you get longevity, you get durability, you get to squeeze that extra 3 or 4% of performance out of your body, maybe 10, 20%, depending on how things are. I mean, my slogan is basically unlock your body potential. So regardless if you're 6 or 66, if you come to me, I'm basically just going to take what you have to work with, and I'm going to maximize it from a motion, from a strength, from a durability, from a performance, from a range of motion, just to get so you can get as much fluidity out of your body, motion, and that's what it's all about. And then joints stay healthy, and your longevity improves, and quality of life improves, quality of performance on the field, if that's what you do, improves, and so on and so on.
You helped out one of the guys, he used to, remember Corey, before you got there, Corey Lacaneri had some knee problems, and a lot of it was because of what Dr. Kentz found out was like his hips and things were offset, and so he's another guy at Ball State. He had a great year, won a state championship. He also worked with Shane Lacaneri, who won two state titles, right? So and then Dominic Perkovic, who's at the undefeated Columbia now, and he's having a great. He might be.
He was just in, actually. He just popped in one day. He's huge.
Yeah. So and I didn't learn about this maybe till the end of my career, but getting adjusted, having a chiropractor is definitely a way you want to go for all you athletes out there. But Dr. Kentz is probably one. I've been to a lot of them. He's probably one of the best that I've ever been to, especially, and I wouldn't send my players there if he wasn't. And the success rate that a lot of these guys have had getting their bodies working the way they're supposed to is pretty good.
The thing that I take a lot of pride in, the thing I take a lot of pride in is what you just said. I feel like a lot of people in my field, they kind of target a couple of trouble areas and they hit those and off you go. Whereas I basically challenge every link of the chain. I want every single place that should move in your body to move. And so basically I explore all that. So from a thorough standpoint, I think there's no comparison between me and most of the guys you'll go see. They're going to touch it here, they're going to touch it there, they're going to blow in your ear, and you're going to pay the test. Whereas me, I'm gonna work. You're going to know something's happened. I mean, I'm going to get you in shape. You may not even love me the first 4 or 5 times you come see me, but that's okay. My job is to elevate you to a better level, and the people that do what I tell them to do almost always do that. I mean, I count on one hand how many times I've had it not work out in a positive
I'm a
way.
resident. So where's your office located?
We just moved. We're on Grand River, down closer to Haggard. Now we're on Grand River, just west of Novi Road. So
Okay.
if you go just west of Novi Road, about a quarter mile, there's a little viaduct there, kind of a little rise in the road. It goes over, and then we're the second road on the south side called Lanny's, Lannys, and we're the second building on the left. Looks like a big medical building. We got everybody. We got two people who specialize in what I do, although one of them doesn't really specialize so much in the spine. He's got a nutrition clinic, does a lot of different things. He's got a lot of oars, no water, and then we got a medical doctor there as well, who's there like 3 days a week. All I do is spinal reconditioning, rehabilitation, maximizing what you've got. That's all I do. I don't do weasels, measles, lumps, mumps. I don't sew up lacerations. You got menstrual problems, you need to go somewhere else. I don't do any of that. I do this, and I do it only, and I do it good.
Okay, I'm not far from there. So now you got to tell the listeners now, if they come in, they get adjusted. Do they get picks of the week with the adjustment, or is that's not included in the adjustment?
I hadn't even thought about incorporating that.
You gotta get
into my intake consultation examination chit chat. But anybody that ever wants to come in, I don't charge for that first time. And I'm one of the few doctors. I mean, I don't even want your insurance card. I don't want anything. I'm going to spend about 45 minutes with you, and I'm basically just going to let you ask as many questions as you want. I'm going to give you a wealth of information and education about your structure. Because everybody's got strengths and everybody's got weaknesses. That's one thing we all have in common. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan or
Rocco.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You have strengths, you have weaknesses, you got places that stress.
I meant that in a good way.
The stress runs and hides, and I want to find those spots, and I'm going to put together a protocol that kind of hits the reset button on that and keeps you performing at your best for what you've got to work with. You know what I mean?
All right, well, once again, give them that phone number they can reach at.
248-320-1108, and my trademark is Spinalign Incorporated. Spinalign. So if you see the word Spinalign, I'm also associated heavily with Lifetime Fitness. I'm a sponsor over there with those guys, and so if you might see Spinalign with someone answering questions there, that's me. So
And also, if you go over there, just like Richard Pryor said in Car Wash, if you want some spread pick numbers, gamble numbers, a small fee, he will set you free.
Yeah. I just generally shut the door and then have that conversation. I don't want the office thinking that's what I'm spending my time doing.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. Good show.
I appreciate it.
We're gonna see, if you have some people win some money, we'll get you back in here, and then hopefully.
I like that segment. We got to do with the music. Maybe we had to come here with like some sunglasses.
Yeah.
Black suit.
And we'll have Jamal here next time. He had a little technical difficulties.
Pasta choli,
Right.
spaghetti and meatballs.
I might have to switch it to Dr. Paisan.
There you go.
Something like that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just want to thank you for that. Also remember that when you're making your dining out plans, go to one of the 4 Beirut Palace locations, and when in Royal Oak, stop by the Beirut Palace at 205 South Main Street. Ask for Mo and tell them you heard about the restaurant on the Rockin' Turk Sports Show and get 10% off your meal. For more information, call them at 248-399-4600 or go to their website at www.beirutpalace.com. Do it today. And as always, our show is brought to you and sponsored by Blaze Contracting.
Rockin' Turk Sports Show is brought to you in part by Blaze
Appreciate
Contracting
it.
Incorporated. Blaze is a heavy civil
What's
service
up, Coach?
contractor.
You telling me, man. Thank you.
Excavation.
We're
heavy installations,
gonna close out real quick and let us get a picture with you.
Okay. Installations throughout Michigan.
Did you guys grab some food out there? Did you get some?
Blaze has successfully completed many high-profile projects and is a
Got your
preferred
VOD
vendor
stuff
for many
on.
established
We got
corporations
O and
and developers
Elijah in
doing
here.
business
That was our
in
first
Detroit and
high
across
school
America.
people that we had.
Currently,
Oh, okay.
We're not
Just
just
kidding.
Justin.
Metro
Justin.
Detroit
Like call me Turk.
Yes, all right. I had more than that. I had a couple running backs from over there. 2 running backs from over there, and somebody else that all came in like once or twice. Yeah, because Shane and Corey kept sending them.
if you're out there listening,
He would be something to
you're
deal with.
involved in the development construction
Corey,
process.
it's weird, man. Shane, easy to get to know the guy, but Corey, man, Corey was exactly.
Seemed like you
Figure that dude out.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was a tough character.
Very strong character.
Well, let me finish. I gotta finish this.
Administrative ease provided by Blaze that will ensure that your project will be completed on time and within budget. Allow Blaze to light the fire for you that paves your road to success. Give them a call today. Call 313-361-1000 visit their website at www.blazecontracting.com.
Well, that concludes show number 26. It's been a good run. We've been here. You got to tune in next week. We obviously covered a lot of information this week. High school playoffs locally here in Michigan. Got to be talking about round 2, the upsets, what happened tomorrow. Most of those games are tomorrow. We're obviously going to be talking about college football. Big game this weekend. Does Georgia keep doing what they're supposed to be doing and get ready for that collision course with Alabama? Ohio State, Penn State, probably the biggest game in the Big Ten this year. We got the NFL, obviously. Detroit Lions got the home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody's going to be watching. What is Matthew Stafford and the Lions going to do? Are they going to be a contender or a pretender? It's time to step up. Other than that, we got fantasy football news. Rocco putting it down for that. We got more Bum of the Week. If you enjoyed this week's Bum of the Week, it obviously will be posted on our website, our Twitter, our podcast on Echo Network. We'll get all that information to you. Make sure you tune in. We're actually going to be talking about the NBA some more as well. We talked about top 10 NBA championship teams. We'll continue on that topic if fans are listening. Rocco, what you got?
I'm excited for next week. We got Julius Curry, former Wolverine, coming in.
And Bishop Gallagher grad.
Yeah, Bishop Gallagher, and he is, as far as what he told me, he's the only black-owned NASCAR company, and he's got a special announcement as far as with his company and some sponsors and stuff. And then also we'll be having some special guests from depending if they win their game or not. So it could change up these high school games. And then also
that's round 2 people.
Yeah, absolutely, and the recruiting coordinator from Wayne State and D-line coach, he'll be here as well. So we got an action-packed week with guests and obviously everything that you said. So I'm excited. Thank you for everybody coming in today, and I'll see you next week.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Great on the straight. I can't believe you spent all the time talking about. I thought the hat would spur the conversation. I'm just joking. It's just a hat. I was just rolling through there. I bought a hat.
Josh Jackson is a good quarterback, man.
I don't
if
follow.
Michigan had Josh Jackson, the kid who played 20 feet away from the stadium.
I didn't realize he was down the road. Where'd he go?
Right now. He played at Ann Arbor Pioneer.
Literally,
He's Fred Jackson's son. Fred Jackson, the running back coach, was there for 19 years.
Okay, right.
That's his son.
I didn't even know.
He's the top quarterback.
I got a buddy of mine's engineer went to Tech, but he's always talking about. I don't.
Red shirt.
I just had to buy because I was rolling through there.
Having a phenomenal season. I mean, he's probably the Heisman candidate.
I can't believe.